Welcome everybody to the One Nation Zoom session. I am your host, your guide, your brother, Sacri Corpus. I am Chris Hollingsworth for Sacri Corpus. Sacri Corpus, of course, means our sacred body. Your body is sacred. This body of the platform is sacred. The body of the land is sacred. The family body is sacred. The universal body is sacred. It is our sacred body because we are it and it is us. Just so that everyone knows what Sacri Corpus means, is Latin, right? We are doing something new, of course, of being right here on Zoom. And I think it'll be very beneficial because then we don't have to worry about the 2 hour time limit. Because, I'll write it till the wheels fall off. I'll write it it'll cut me off mid sentence, right? So this time, what we can do is we can take our time and we can have a discussion on the topics at hand, right? And again, this is a judgment-free zone, right? We don't talk down to each other. We're all one. It's supposed to be one nation, so we gotta, we have to get along and have respect for each other. When we're in discussion, we're gonna allow one person to talk, and when you're done, you can say something like, "Okay, I'm done," or "I yield," or whatever. However you want to sign off to let us know that you're done. When I'm sharing the screen, it would be important to either put your questions in the comments section, and then when I'm done sharing the screen, I will get to those questions, right? Or if it's of immediate importance, because I'm going from topic to topic, word to word, and things like that. If you can unmute and say, "Hey, for a second, let me just, let me ask this question because you went over this. I want to kind of get a deeper truth on that." Don't worry about any questions being dumb or too big or whatever, because there isn't. Because comprehension is key. You got to learn the ABCs in order to write words. So don't worry about it. And a lot of times, we don't know. And we're not judging others for, even if they're like, "Well, what's the beneficiary?" Who it does, we're gonna explain it, right? Just to make sure that we have the same level of knowledge going forward, which is very important. And that's what these sessions are for. So, and yes, and thank you, Mystery. That I was just going to say that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. And your question can help other people. JJ, thank you, JJ. Because here's the thing: sometimes there's a lot of introverts. You know what I mean? I'm an extroverted introvert. Like there's some times where I'm just like, I don't want to talk, right? And then there's other times where I just can't stop, right? And I just, I'm used to doing presentations in front of thousands of people. When I used to work at Diesel Jeans and going across the world and doing presentations for the collections and stuff like that. So I'm kind of used to it. But there's people that are not. They say that, number one, what is the thing that you fear most? Most people said public speaking, and then second was death. I was like, damn. But it's okay if you are. You can type in your question in the comment section so you don't have to unmute and, say your question and feel all weird. You don't have to feel weird here. This is supposed to be fam. All right. So I just want to make sure I lay down the rules on how we're gonna rock, especially when I'm doing my lives. And maybe, other people's lives too, but they're the host of that. So I can only control this. And not it's not even control, it's just harmony, right? So make sure you put your questions in the comment section. It's great. And then, if you have a question that you want to ask when I'm sharing the screen, because when I share the screen, I can't see any of the hands up, hands raised. I can't see the comment section or anything. All right. So, what else? With that being said, thank you guys for joining. Much love and honor, peace and respect. So yeah, so we were getting into last week. We're going over certain words. We were going over the four parts of a lawful trust. However, there are more parts to that because when you are doing your trust, you need to know it will be in your best interest. Because I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but it will be in your best interest to know certain words that you can use to maximize your advantages when you're creating these trusts, as well as words that you want to avoid due to the fact that certain words are copywritten. Just like you can't use cure, right? It's got to be treatment, right? Cancer, you can't even use, to be honest with you, which is weird. And, certain words, and I'm thinking words like birth certificate, right? You don't really want to use a lot of words that they're using. For me, I'm not saying it's a like a solid fact of jurisdiction or anything like that. What I'm saying is I'd rather not use it, right? I'd rather come up with words just like I found like certificate of nonsense, right? And people nonsense, I didn't even know that word, like months ago. Nonsense is really like the birth. Here, I'll share the screen, and as I talk, I can, So I'm going to share the screen now. Let me just real quick. Let me. All right, cool. Yeah, we got some people up in here. Good, excellent. Thank you everybody for joining. Yay. Now let's share the screen and get down to the dirt. And if I break up, excuse me, I'm like right next to the Wi-Fi. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I got the Wi-Fi box going. All right. Now let's take this off. Let's go to here. Uh, yeah, I had to do a review. Let's go here. I think I'm going to see if I can spell this right because it's a new word. Na, S-E, na, is it C-S-S? No. Let's do this. This is how we do it. Birth synonyms. All right. So whenever you're trying to find like a different word, right? You want to look up synonyms, right? I don't know if it's going to have nonsense here. Hopefully it does. All right. If not, then we're going to have to, let's move that out the way. Boom. Let's go Merriam-Webster. I think that's where I found it. Nascency. All right. So Nascence. All right. At the point of which something begins. So think about this. At the point of which something begins, right? Isn't that what birth? You birth. That's when they say your life begins. But did your life really begin at birth, or did it begin at conception? Right? When you were conceived. So what we're gonna do here, hold on 1 second. Always get your notebooks. Nascence. Let's go to here. This is how we study, y'all. All right. I know it's not glamorous. I know it's not. But all right. And then what I'll do is I'll go to one of the other, dictionaries. We can do a blanket general definition. Nonsense. All right. Oh, they don't have the thing where you can where they say it. All right. So nonsense or nocency is the noun, right? Person, place, or thing, referring to the process of coming into existence, birth, or early stages of growth, right? It describes the initial developing phase of something, such as a new idea, movement, or technology. Common synonyms include beginning, birth, inception, emergence, genesis, and dawn. That's why I use the word Genesis on the credentials, because I don't like using the words. Since we are creating our own jurisdiction within these trusts, okay, and we proved it last week that you are a foreign state when you're operating through your private foreign ministerial natural law trust. We look at 8 USC 1481. I'll show you that as well, right? And so I don't like using words because words are very powerful. If we're in our own jurisdiction, we need to find our own words that we can utilize rather than using what they have, right? Always using what they have. And it's like, no, we are our own jurisdiction, right? As a sovereign state, right? So nascence is a new word, okay? So that means birth or process of coming into existence. So that's why I would say on, like, say if you do, I don't know if you want to do a live claim, a title of nascence, certificate, verification, certification of nascence, whatever the fact may be, right? Then would you do it when you came out of the womb or 9 months before when you were conceived? I think 9 months before, right? Then also, if you want to get even deeper than that, should we even be using their Gregorian calendar? Like there's got to be something whereas we can track where what real time it is based on the lunar cycle, which was and really, is there even time? Right? Time is a man-made thing. I would think so. Right? So the mere fact of using that puts us under a certain uh I'm going to use this word, and I know it's not even a word, calendaric jurisdiction. I know it's not a word, but you know what I mean, right? It's certain jurisdiction under, because that's why they ask you for your name and date of birth. They want that name that they have registered on their birth certificate that they created via the state, which is the grantor and the beneficiary, right? And then they want to know your date of birth, right? A ship comes to its birth. So we're dealing with maritime type things, right? Like born, birth. That's why I said, okay, nascence or Genesis, right? I think we can use these words. It means the same thing. They're synonyms. We're seeing it with our own eyes. So it's not like we're saying something different. If they don't know it, ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? And when you write your trust, if you use these words, you are putting them in your definitions, which are very, very important. Your definition should be one of the first things that you have within your trust. Why? Because everything that comes after, all the words, all the meanings, the sentence structure that comes after the definitions stand within that law, right? And somebody just texted me about trust law. Anyway, I think they want to trust anyway, but right. So anything that comes after those definitions, right, will stand as the law of that particular contract. Okay, because the trust is a contract. All trusts are contracts, but not all contracts are trusts. Meaning you have an adhesion contracts can be a trust because there's only one man or woman signing, right? So we went over nonsense, right? Um, Let me show you something. I'm gonna go. No, I'm gonna do Black's Law as of yet. Come on now. I don't know why technology is mad slow. Boom. Like I said, I found a what is this? 1679 dictionary. I'm waiting for it to download. Oh, there it is. Good. Yes, download. Boom. It's an English, Latin, and Latin English dictionary. Damn, this thing is old as hell. Anyway, I tell my laptop it's not in here. But let's go, let's see if we can find nonsense, right? And this is what we do, right? And so as I find this, what I wanted to just reiterate is that the four lawful parts of a trust, right? Let's go down, right? Is it NAS? There we go. I don't even know if they have it here, to be honest with you. No, they don't have it because it would be right there, right? So they don't have nonsense. All right, 1721. Right. So four lawful parts of a trust, right? That's going to be here. So you have a visual representation. And please excuse me, I'm dealing with a phone and thumbs. All right. I'll do it slower. Shoot, let's just put to a trust. All right. So as you can see, the four lawful parts is grantor, settlor, trustee, beneficiaries, and then the trust property, which is called the res. Right. Now, he who writes it has original jurisdiction. That's an ancient maxim of law. He who creates it owns it. What we know now is that the adversary, the corporate United States government, is using natural law basically to control all of us. How do they do this? Once they create the birth certificate, which they're first in line, first in time, that's another maxim, it's another law, right? First in line, first in time to register or to capture, right, the registration uh, of that particular event, right? Because it's really for the event. It's not necessarily for the baby, but they're using that because they're like, we created that all caps name. He who creates it owns it. So if you unknowingly but willfully say that, yes, that's me and that's my birth certificate, right? When it's not, because you didn't sign it, right? You never signed it. Plus, you were too young to be a party to that contract, and you don't have full hand knowledge, right? First hand knowledge, right? You don't have first hand knowledge that that was the time, the date, the place, or even if that was your mom. And I know that sounds weird. I know, but they've been cloning forever, and there's a lot of people that are coming into this realm as beings of light and change, where they're trying to deter, just like my life. You know, I came in lots of light, and then I went to the dark side. Now I'm back to light. You know what I mean? Drugs and alcohol, right? So it's like, it deters, and some people don't come back from that, right? Even though they're good people. So they're using natural law. So they created that all caps name, which all caps, if you can get the book Dog Latin, it will explain all caps as being symbols and not English at all. Right? So they created it, they own it. We're going around saying it's us. We're explicitly saying it, and then our actions are confirming that by implication, right? When in actuality, they're just talking about afterbirth, right? So anyway, you are the grantor of your trust because you are the one who's going to write it, which means you are the author and you have supreme authority, right? So you're the grantor. You can say grantor or settler, it's up to you. You need grantor, settler, author, trustor, creator. There's many different names for that particular position, right? Then you got your trustee, of course, which is you as well, right? You can be two out of the three. It is frowned upon to be all three, like the beneficiary as well, but there's ways to find a loophole in that, especially within your private trust, because let's say the grantor is John Smith, but John Smith can change his trustee name because he's operating in a ministerial capacity to, I don't know, Richard Smith or Lord Smith or Noble Smith or whatever, right? Now it's a different name because it's actually different letters, right? And you can operate as such because the private the private foreign ministerial natural law trust, the way I teach it, you can do it any way you want. It's just showing you how to teach it, and I think it's one of the better ways. But it is excuse me, it is irrevocable, right? Which means it can't be changed. So once you, as the grantor, writes, creates, and agrees with the trustee, you can contract with yourself. That's Hale versus Hinkle. All right, look that up. You have unlimited right to contract. You contract with yourself. You do it all the time. Don't you think about what you want to do? Damn, what should I do? Should I go to the store now, or should I just go over here and get this? So you're asking a question, then something responds and is like, no, let's go to the store first, get that, come back, and then do that. All right, cool. That's an agreement. You agree with yourself. Hey, we got to get up and work out. I don't want to work out. Come on, you got to work. You talk to yourself. That's an agreement. That's a contract. I know it sounds very simple and whatever, but it still holds weight. No, it doesn't matter if it's big or small. You're still agreeing with yourself, right? So you are the settler grantor, right? You are the trustee. And then preferably your heirs are the beneficiaries, right? Because you got to give it to somebody. And then you have your trust, property, and assets. Now, a lot of people think, like, look at this. They put, oh, real estate, bank accounts, securities, held. And to be honest with you, it's not just that. That's like high ticket items and things like that. You know what I mean? I would really recommend to not get an EIN and bank account for your private trust, because now you're putting something public in your private. And like I always say, that don't sound good anywhere you put it, right? So you want to make sure that your private trust, right, under natural law, does not commingle with the public. You're trying to mix oil and water. It's not going to work, right? So, and we showed the proof last time, and I'll show you here too. But so here's the four parts: grantor, trustee, beneficiaries, trust property. The trust property, as I was saying, It could be anything that you own. Don't you own clothes? Don't you own pots and pans and maybe a car? And you can make your own MSO. We've been working on that within the workshop, right? And there's a website by MSO, by MCO.com. So you can create your own MSO on really good bond paper as well. They do it very well. So anything that you own, tables, chairs, they have value. You purchase them, they're your property, right? And these are things that you can give to your heirs. And heirs meaning your sons and daughters. I don't call them kids because kids are baby goats. Stop spell casting animalistic stuff on your children. That's a recommendation from your brother, right? It's like we got to use the proper words because we can't say that words are spells and they do word magic and illegalese and this, that, and the third, and then we still call ourselves things like nice, right? That's not a good thing. Anyway, and we're going to get to all that. So the thing is that whatever that you own, what I would do is I would go through everything that you own and itemize it, right? You would itemize everything that you own. If you want to put a dollar amount to it with the original cost or the appreciated value, right? And maybe add a little 10% on there, and you'll see that, wow, I do actually own some things. The estate is everything that you own and the value thereof. So what you'd want to do is itemize everything, because then you got to look at, okay, um, who am I going to give this to, right? Like who am I going to give this to? How's it going to be? Because if you have more than one son or daughter, right? More than one heir, collectively the heirs, right? If you have more than one, I think it would be in the best interest to actually allocate certain specific property to a certain heir with the allowance that they can trade it if they don't want it. But you just like, or you can talk to them first. Something happened. Do you want the tables and chairs? Do you want the car? You want this? Now, if you have land, I would divvy it up and put a no sell clause, because we don't want our heirs to be homeless. We don't want them to sell it for whatever and then all of a sudden they spend it all. Now they got to pay rent, or you know what I mean? That's what getting land is so important, right? It's very important. So we're seeing the four parts of a lawful trust. However, there are other parts to a trust that is very important and just as important as these four parts. And you want to know, of course, the successor trustee. You need a successor trustee. I don't even know what they talk about it here. They don't, right? You need a successor trustee. Why? Because if something happens to you where you end up passing or become permanently incapacitated, then who's going to administer the trust? And look at that word, administer, add, include, or put on top of, or to continue. Minister, private foreign ministerial trust. You are administering. It's all ministerial, right? So you need a successor trustee to come in. And I would say not just to have one, I would say to have two, possibly three. I know it's difficult. Believe me, I've been talking to many people about it, Megan included, and myself included. I have one because it's probably not many people you trust to do it. It's the nature of being in the know of this information where a lot of people think you're crazy, right? Family, friends, sometimes spouses, you know what I mean? Think that you're crazy for learning this and why don't you just fall in line and things like that. So it's kind of like, well, damn, if I'm going to do this and I give it to you, what are you going to do? Right. So, it's important to get your successor trustee. If you only have one, that's fine. It would be great to have two, if you can get two, that'd be great. Because if something happens to the successor trustee, then you got to back up. All right. A lot of times when we're doing these trusts, we want to make sure that we identify certain things that can go wrong and then produce a remedy for it. Right. Because then you've already got it written down. Because the fact of the matter is that whatever you write in that trust, which has to be in honor, when you're right, you can't be wrong. Whatever you write in that trust, it stands as law. Okay? Let me see. right? Can a state force a private trust? Yes, the state can force it. They didn't say this before. Ooh, I'm going to show you what
Yeah, I
they
just found
said.
out.
Let me see. Let me see what it says. Yes, the state can force a private trust into a new contract or modify terms under specific circumstances, typically through judicial intervention and statutory
No.
mechanisms like decanting. Courts may modify trust if the original trust becomes illegal,
Yeah.
impracticable, right,
Rebel
or
is
fail to
new
fulfill the
gameplay.
creator's purpose. Now, let me show you something. Can y'all mute up? And then I'm going to show you something. I got to go all the way up. I gotta go all the way up. Because it didn't say that before. I think it might be further up. Nope. No, not showing any card. Because I have the original. Oh, we got to go through the maxims of the law too. We're gonna go through that. Yeah, kid, the young of a goat. There you go. I need to go up. Let's see, because they didn't say that before. I'm getting close. I have a lot of pictures I need to get rid of. Yes, I know. I don't think that's it. Let's see. Is that it? No. Verifies existence details of trust, confirms the authority of trustees acting. Yeah, that's certification of trust. That's my son. All right. Give me a second because I need to prove this goddamn point. Reasonable, takeable suspicion. Yeah. Colander versus Lawson. Yeah. Oh, okay. It should be up in here. And I'll make it bigger once I find it. Because it did not say that before. These are, you can see this is all my fucking. Give me a sec. Get a little. I think we're almost there. No, this is what I put. No, a private trust, while creating specific obligations for the trust, does not automatically protect the trustee traveling in the trust owned vehicle from legitimate police officers, even though they're not currently violating any traffic laws. Yes, because you got to get on the exemption list. That's what the monitions are for. But hold on. Let's go. The intelligible print. I a state typically for private trust to enter into new same damn thing. Change it up for especially when the trust explicitly as unless there is a breach of or detail to act in the best interest of the beneficiaries and to you see what they did? You see what they did? But they ain't gonna stop me though. We're gonna share that. Here we go. Don't worry, I don't give up. That's what I don't do. Hey, can you hear me? Everybody, somebody, let me know if y'all can hear me. I see.
It's a little glitchy, but just letting you know, it's also Mercury retrograde renegade style. So yeah,
Right.
it's techie time.
Yeah. The internet is not interneting. The internet is not interneting, and I'm like, I'll be walking around, should go outside. I want to go outside because there's and there.
Let's just say it's going back to web crawling. I don't know if you're talking, but we don't hear you.
Oh, see, you're breaking up too. See,
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
still
know
kind
what
of
I have
glitchy.
my. Yeah, see, I'm like,
Are
what
you
do I
wired in
do?
or wireless?
No, I'm. What should I? Maybe I should plug in my phone. I don't know. What the fuck I need to do? I mean, I have a Wi-Fi box.
If you're
Yeah.
moving around where you were when you were doing the like looking it up with the AI, that was fine. Whatever you did in the last little bit, that's what's messing it up. If you can even hear me.
Got you, because I right. Yeah, I didn't hear yeah, exactly because I'm sitting down and I have my phone on a stand. Is it
Well,
still
you're
good
good
now,
now.
or
Yeah,
is it
you seem
glitchy
good.
still? Oh, excellent. All right, good, good, good. Yeah, I need all help because when I'm sharing the screen, I can't see, and I want to make sure you guys can hear. And it started recording again, so it's going to kick me out every once in a while. What that is, but and thank you guys so much. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. And yes, the technology right now, I don't know what's going on. It's just it hasn't been good in the past few days, and things are slow. And I'm like, normally with the Wi-Fi box, things are quick. This is a good Wi-Fi box. I can have fucking 100 different, devices on it.
No, the Schumann
I think they're
resonance
doing
is like
something too.
super active. Absolutely, we're getting invaded with a whole bunch of different frequencies from the Earth, and then the coronal mass ejections, and there's a
And then
bunch
the
of
Mm.
stuff going
man-made
on.
stuff too.
Plus, data centers are being attacked. So on top
Right.
of that,
Ah,
Yeah,
And my
yesterday,
GPS
just
has
a
not
little
worked all
glitch.
day.
You're talking about an iPhone. Yesterday, I haven't even updated my operating system on my iPhone, and the screensaver on it went back to the basic one that you always get on these phones. And I'm looking at, and I
oh
literally
shit!
just watched it go from one to the other, and I'm looking at it going, okay, what the heck just happened? And I had to go back and change it.
Wow.
But that makes me wonder if they're doing other stuff too.
I
So
think they
yeah,
are.
well,
I mean, I wouldn't. We can't be surprised these days, right?
nope,
We can't be
I,
not at all.
surprised.
Iran has some buddies like North Korea who happens to be really good at hacking. And Iran is known as good for hacking. Plus, they've been bombing data centers. AWS
Mm.
was down a while ago, a few days ago. They hit some, I forget where it was, but they hit with a missile. So that could
Iran,
happen.
yeah.
Wow. You see what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
everybody, this is what I'm saying. Let's take a step above the whole thing and say, w- are we just letting all these things happen? I know that it seems like it's out of our control. I know it, but it's all going to continue and they're going to do what they're going to do. Right? So when do we draw the line and say either we're out because you can't fight them? They got goddamn lasers, right?
Yeah.
It's like fighting with arms. We could, but we need to get everybody on board. I mean,
Yeah, especially the ones
360
working
million
in those
people.
jobs.
Well,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
got to
exactly.
develop a parallel alternate system that people can opt into or
Mhm.
drop out of, the tune on, what a turn on, tune in, and drop out, something like
Yeah.
that.
Right. It has to be something. And I think people are ready for it. They just know. People are still scared. I think people won't let go. They think that, oh, this is how it is, and they'll calm down, and then we can just go back to work and pay our taxes and be. But obviously, life is telling us something. Right? The government is saying things that we're saying. They're saying because maybe they're crashing, maybe it's a 3 year cycle. They're getting ready for 2029, just like 1929 when the stock markets crashed, and then you had the Great Depression, and then you got 33, and they took the gold. 19, right? Spanish flu, 2020, COVID, mass and vaccinations, same thing. So like we listen to what they're doing because if they look at this, they're messing with the technology. Do we know where we're going to go or meet up if they drop the grid and if they drop the internet? We're all talking now,
And Sally.
but where are we going to meet up? Hmm?
That is the question.
Yeah, we need to get our mesh tastics. Anybody know what that is?
The lead coverings and all the EMF protecting stuff. Yeah.
Well, the
This
mesh
is
tastic, it's like a $40 communication device that you can get. It uses Bluetooth to your phone, so you don't need a screen, but it's a way to broadcast text in a non-grid. I'm an FCC engineer,
what
so
was
I'm into this stuff. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
what
love
called
was
it.
that called?
Mesh Tastic. MESHTASTIC. I'll be adding a bunch of stuff. I'm getting active. I finally found you, Sacri.
Absolutely. I'm glad. I'm glad you did, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
I really appreciate it. Oh, absolutely, man. This is what we're all about. It's like if we're not going to do it, everything starts with people, right? All of it. Whether we got into some darkness or we're going to get the hell out of the darkness, we got to start implementing things. We can't wait for them. We're not. We can't, or we're all. This is going to be over, right? This is how it starts. And people think, oh, it's anticlimactic. Do you think it was all this big thing back then when they were doing all that? No, it was just people coming together saying, no, we don't want to be with England, or no, we want to do our own thing, and this is how we're going to do it. And then they had to do what they had to do. It took some steps forward. I don't know. Civilizations rose and fell. I think when they fell, they were like, oh, they had to take some steps back, and then they rose again. So it always starts here with us, right? So if we can start it, we can maintain it, and then we can build it and grow it, and that's the reason why we got to have the same level of knowledge, so then we can furnish that over to the air so that they can take it to them. Just like, I said it so many times. If we teach or make it fun for the heirs, the sons and daughters, to learn free energy. Some people say, "Oh, you can't do free energy out of copper and wires and magnets and this and that." Hey, we can try, right? You can levitate some stuff. You can do all sorts of things. If we can get some free energy from doing that, or however way, they will take it and do it way better than what we can even imagine. So
100%.
that's why it's like it starts here. So, right? So if we can direct them into something like that, because maybe it's boring. Maybe they're bored of school. I don't know. Maybe they need something extra that can feed their minds, because these are different types of souls coming down here. So just like we were to our mothers and fathers, and they were to their mothers and fathers. So that's what I'm saying. It starts here. So whatever information I would say, um, throw it in the chat here, but also if you can put it in One Nation, that'd be great. Because we need to start coming up. We got to start thinking of these things. What did I just say about trust? We got to start thinking of things that can go wrong and have a remedy for it. But if we're going to do this together, we have to be together, right? We have to make sure we eliminate anything that might come in between us and say, hey, this is what it is. We got a common goal. How many people are on the One Nation platform? It's not. First of all, let's say there's 180 million people, right, on these platforms. Right? Let's just take TikTok, or you can take any of them, right? There's a study, and I'm sure you guys heard me say it, that only 10 to 15% are there to learn. So if you got 180 million, we have the potential to have 18 million people. We're not even close. So obviously, you guys are the chosen, right? The mere fact that you are here and that you're trying to learn something other than what was taught. So that's when I say hold yourself sacred and know that you have the power. You are a pioneer. It's not going to be fucking glitz and glam. No, it's going to be fucking dirt under the nails and scratches and abrasions, right? So that the next generation can have less scratches and abrasions and dirt under the nails. I mean, I think we can agree on that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, so what are we doing? We are the founding fucking fathers and mothers right now. You know what I mean? Think about it.
Yeah, there's something about it's like 3% only needs to start thinking and acting a certain way, and then it becomes contagious.
Absolutely. That's
Power
the
versus
critical
Force by
mass
David
theory,
R.
right?
Hawkins. Great book. Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins.
Power
We
versus force.
mm-hmm.
human human behavior deterrent. Anyway, the subtitle. It's a really great book specifically because he's the one that mapped out the scales of consciousness that everybody talks about kinesiology and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and how each emotion resonates at a certain vibrational level. And that was my theory was is in 2019 at the end of 19 beginning of 2020 they realized, oh shit, we thought we had it in the bag, and then they had to throw their sloppy little thing out there so that everybody would all start freaking out. But
Mm.
we were, in my theory, it's we had already surpassed the scale, and we still have, but they kind, there was a little hindrance there, but we're still moving on up. It's just that, it's very easy for people to get caught up in stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we have tipped the scales, and that's what, there is no turning back. But that's
Yeah, I don't think there's no turning back if you really think about 5 years ago, before COVID, 2018, 2019. Think about life then. 2018, 2019. Yeah, it's a little bit wild, but wasn't that wild, right? And then, I kept saying, oh, 2020, you got to have 2020 vision. You got to see it. You got to, you really got to be in tune to see it. It's 2020. And then 2020 came, and what happened? Like I bet you all of you had plans, big plans, right? And then March came, and then COVID, and then it just shut everything down. I hear time after time, story after story of people having these big things that they were finally about to do. And then this came and shut it all down. So it's not going back to normal. It's been 5 years. What's going to happen in a year, 3 years, five? We got, look at the money system. They shut it down in 29. We're in 2026. They're saying 27 ain't going to be good. 27, who knows? 29, 100-year cycle. So, and do you think it's a coincidence that we're all here now talking about this in order to we have a great opportunity to do something. And yeah, it's not going to be fucking easy, and it's not going to be, flawless.
or maybe it will be, and we just have to stop listening to what they say.
I like that thought. I like that train of
Uh-huh.
thought. Maybe it will be. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Obstacles create opportunities. You got that right, iPhone. Yes, it
Mhm.
does. Obstacle. And what's the name said the other day? When I was on a live, I was actually gonna make a T-shirt on that. And he said the comeback is better than the setback.
Ooh, I like that. It's like Anthony Robbins says, a breakthrough is showing you there. A breakdown is right before the breakthrough, right?
Right. So now you
And
see things breaking down.
and
Right. Okay.
you already heard what I said about Babylon, and that this is just another one of their resets in their Babylon falling because of their a mine's bigger than yours erection of all these statutes and phallic symbols so they can be worshipped.
Right. So it's like, all right, what are we going to do? Like, I do like the trust law. I do like PMAs. We will have to implement that and create our own. That's why, when I was discussing the 9-month plan, I figured it could be something good because, I mean, it's just a proposal. It is not something where I think it's like, oh, it can always be built upon, modified, whatever, right? But it's like, how do we exit? And that was the one thing I've been thinking about for a very long time. And then when I thought about it, because I remember like maybe a year ago, they're like, oh, we need to just stop paying rent and we need to stop going to work. And then they can't kick us all out. And I'm like, yeah, they can. And so, but we don't have anything to go to. Right. So I was like, well, shit. If we first, it was a 9-month plan, but that's not enough time. So I was like, well, if we do a 12-month, right, we can stop participating financially, right? We can, no more holidays, no more birthdays, no more anniversaries. Y'all together, like fucking make something for each other, right? No more Christmases, no more any of that, no more out to eat, no more none of that, because you're gonna save those notes because it ain't money. Gold and silver is money. We're gonna save those notes, right? 9 months, right? And but then during the 9 months, we're investing in certain things like solar, water filtration, canned goods, dry goods, seeds, all the things that we're going to need, generators, whatever, right? Now we can allocate people like myself, where I can travel anywhere, right? To take it to a land that we're all putting money to. So say if all of us, if we got 20, 100 people, maybe we can get 100, maybe we can get 20 or 30, 40, I don't know. We can do 20 per region and can do it, in each region or wherever we're at, right? and create like depots, like headquarters or whatever, right? So in 9 months, we're allocating funds for materials and foods and things like that, and medical supplies, all of that stuff, right? And then we're also allocating 5, 10, 15, whatever you want percent of that monthly wages, right, that you're receiving in order to put into a bucket, into a whole thing to buy land with the group. So it's not just you, it's the 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 other families or people who say families, right? Because it's going to be one pot for them. But 20 of then by the 9 months, we have so much saved that we can purchase land. Then at 9 months, we stop paying rent. Most people are paying $2,000 average of rent. In 9 to the 3 months, you got about 6K, right? So we purchase land in the ninth or the 10th month. Then we start moving, we get vans or trucks or whatever we can do, start moving those items that you have collected to the land, right? We're building a longhouse. We're trying to build as many, places of living, like houses and things like that. But we need to get to the land, right? So in 9 months, buy the land, build the homes, take all the materials to the land, build a shed for that, maybe another barn. If the Amish can build a barn in a day, like come on, y'all, we can at least build it in a month, at least, and have different rooms in a common area and things like that, right? Until everyone's there, then we can start building homes for everybody. And then once we're done building those homes, we can expand those homes. And now we're building the agriculture and this and that and the third. By the 12th month, you just leave. You don't need a 2 week notice. You don't need to let them know anything. They don't let you know anything. You just leave, go to the land. You keep your phone on as long as we can, right? So it's kind of like, it's just a proposal, right? Because I think a segue, and then we can do it on April 1st, which is what they call April Fools, which is the true new year, new birth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, it's a proposal. It's something that we can at least start on. If anybody has better ideas on how to do it, please throw it in. Like, because we're going to have to make a move. There's going to have to be something, right? People used to migrate and leave lands that weren't good anymore, right? It's like, we got to figure out, are we going to stay in the cities and try and, well, I don't know what, try and live and thrive there when that's their domain. And it's really a yes to people, but when the people pay all these things to them, like, taxes, things, these are gifts. So they're accepting it as their own. So they're, yes, the people are the beneficiary of the roads and this, that, and the third, but they're not honoring that. They're not honoring anything of our natural rights. They're not honoring their constitution, they're not honoring anything. So either the people are going to come together and abolish it, like in the Declaration of Independence, or they just leave. There's plenty of land out there. And there's plenty of people that we know. There's carpenters, electricians, there's construction workers, there's people that know how, there's floor covering people, there's nurses, there's teachers,
Did
right?
any of you all get a chance to interact with the Rainbow group, Rainbow Gathering?
No.
Okay, they dropped out of society and they went from national park to national park. You can only spend 30 days in a national park. So they stayed
Oh, I think,
four
yeah, I heard
weeks.
something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had the group marriage. They were big famous for like a couple thousand people all married each other in Montana one year, like in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point is, where can you like what alternate life system do we have that you could drop out of this, whatever you want to call it, this corporate nightmare that we're in? But
Mm-hmm.
what is there that you go to?
Self-sufficiency. What?
Oh yeah, thank
Because
you.
Yeah, but self-sufficiency, you ditch the 9 to 5, and then now you gotta like you need people to thrive. Like
mm-hmm.
Thank you,
you
guys.
Mm-hmm.
need multiple families to do this. So how can
Mm-hmm.
we find a way to bring like-minded people together? Sort of like the communes of the 70s, but like a
Mm-hmm.
different, like you're saying, an alternate, or as I was saying, an alternate parallel system.
But
Shit,
here's
some
the
shit. I
thing.
don't know. We ain't got have you some shit.
Right. So here's the thing. The thing about that is self-sufficiency. That's what the 9 months plan, because then when you're done, you got about 6K, right? By the 12th month, And so you do have a little nest egg, but then everybody would necessarily have between 4 to 6K, right? Okay. Now, within those 3 months after the ninth month, so you got your ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, right? So you got your 10th, 11th, 12th, right? Month. We're setting up agriculture because we're going to need food. What do we really need? Food, clothing, shelter, and then like energy. But really, food and shelter, right? We got enough clothes, right? And I know I sell t-shirts, but it's just cool shit and it's revolutionary. But anyway, but it's like food, clothing, shelter, then energy, right? That's really all we need, right? We already have books. We start getting books so we can teach the heirs. We can learn how to do these things, and that would be, and it's not going to be for everybody though, right? Because think about it. If you invite do it all public, they're gonna shut it down. It's got to be people that seek because they're going to be the ones that have more equity in it. They're going to have more sweat equity. They're going to want to be there. They're going to want it to that, like us here talking about these things. We want to make things happen, right? So it's not going to be a lot of people because most people are bots, number one, clones, and most people are just going to want to keep, voting and following the fucking society.
Well, like your
So,
Amish analogy, right? They've
mhm,
got different groups in many, many states, and they provide their own food, their own clothing, their own shelter, and then they sell to the, English, or, to us generally.
right,
But they've got an alternate parallel system.
right.
It's
We
just
can do
not
that.
friendly necessarily to us, right? Or what
Right,
we want to do. But if we had like
right,
an Airbnb that you, I don't know, got somehow voted in or whatever, and then you're in the network, and then we have the network, and that could be 50 statewide, just like you're saying.
right. Yeah, we can do things as far as industry, right? Because as long as, because we don't know how long the money system is going to go, they're going to crash that dollar at some point. I mean, it's going to have to happen. But, while the getting is good, so that we can continue to get the materials and everything that we need, because once everything is working, we have our solar, we have the backups to that, and all the different parts and pieces, right? We have our well, right? So we got water, right? I would say somewhere in the Northwest where you're on one of the world's largest aquifers, right? So water is life, right? So then we have our energy, we have our water, then we have our agriculture, then we have our industry. What is it? There's tons of herbs you can sell. There's herbs you can do, tables and chairs, and do customized stuff, and there's a ton of different things. We can do online classes, we can do online this, we can do sell products, we can do a lot of different things, right? But yeah, I agree what you're saying. It's like we have to have something where we can continue bringing it in. But then what if everything shuts down? That's what I'm saying. We need to get to the point where we're doing all that. So once we get to the point if things does shut down, we don't know if it's going to shut down or when, right? Just like somebody had a question like, how much time do you think? But I don't know. I'm going off a 100-year cycle. I'm going off 1929 to 2029, and it's not looking good right now. It does not look good, right? Money, the dollar doesn't look good. You got the bricks out there. Bricks is $55 to one brick. People are going over there. Who knows if that's going to be good or not? It's a fucking crapshoot, everything. But not to live in fear, but to be reactive of it, we would have to continue building whatever we can, or receive notes or whatever, or barters or whatever, so that we can be more self-sustainable. Because really, if you think about it, and I was talking to my friend Angelus, where I'm standing right now, and he made a great point. He was like, if you think about certain things like solar, could we build a solar panel? Like that takes industry to build, right? It's like even just a phone, or some sort of mechanical something, a chainsaw, something to drill a well. These are pieces that has to be done in a factory, right? And how would we be able to recreate that on our own? You see what I'm saying? And then ultimately, are we prepared to go straight back to nature? I mean, live with, you know what I mean? Just hunt, right? Get the water, filter it, build our own, houses and things like that. Maybe we don't have internet, maybe we do. Like, how far are you willing to go to have your freedom so that your children can? Because ultimately, if not, then we're going to have to succumb and submit to city life and what they have. But you make great points. I mean, like we got to have something, and I'm all aboard on that. To have something where we can continue to build that self-sustainability. Now, if we're doing something like an Airbnb, I would say we'd get property, buy land somewhere else rather than where we live. We don't want people knowing where we're at. That's the one beauty of where I'm at. off grid, right? At Oregon, right? It's like it is off grid. You are not going to find me unless you know how to get there, right? There's not. It's not going to happen. There's too many roads, too many turns, and too many people with guns. So it's just that's where I'm like, it's in a great vortex of energy, and it's awesome, right? So I'm like, something like that could be good, but then you buy land somewhere else, then you can do an Airbnb or something like that, or off grid or whatever. Maybe there's a building or something like that you buy somewhere and that you can do an all Airbnb. I don't know. This is
Yeah,
where
or
the
a
just
network of little farms that you can drive one to the other. And I don't know, we get a portable wood mill, for example, and that
hmm
travels around. So, like,
yeah.
start providing, because I got this, I mean, I have a whole bunch of ideas, but like containers, you can build a container that does something and then
Mm,
move that around. And then
absolutely.
we share, we start thinking more like the Amish.
I
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like by regions. So let's say if you got Oregon, you got Nevada, you got Idaho, you got Texas, you got right, and we can like say and everybody is within a one nation, right? So all the families have their trust. Then you got the PMA, and then everybody comes together in that particular region on that community. Boom! Now you got your PMA, you got your little mini micronation. But then all of them and all regions come together as one, right? To say that we are one nation. We're maybe here, there, and everywhere, but we're under one, and we're going to do our own self-sustainability, our own, driving for commerce, not commerce, but for distributing materials, food, this, what, just like you said. Absolutely. I think that would be key. And guess what? We can find alternate ways of having fuel, right? I think I heard somebody grow some corn. Yeah, and I'm not a fucking scientist on this. We got to figure it out, but there's ways to come up with gasoline or food or I mean or fuel or something like that, right? Where we
Supposedly,
can
Ford was about to engineer an alcohol running motor, and that's what prohibition. My rabbit
there you
hole.
go.
Forced yeah. That's why they prohibited alcohol because the farmers could take used grain or unused grain, really, and just convert it to alcohol and then run their tractors and all that. But
Wasn't
no,
what
they Standard
was
Oil wanted you to be dependent.
right. Wasn't that when they were doing what did we call it? When you put all your food together, it was the I don't know why I'm blanking on this, but when you it's called somebody help me out. When
Like a
you put
co-op, or what are you talking
no,
about?
no, when you put your banana peels and your fruits and whatever and you put it in the ground so that it could, what is it
Like
called?
composting.
Compost. They were doing something like that because I've seen that too. I've seen that
Well, I've
before
seen a
prohibition they
banana
were making
thing
their
that
own
runs
alcohol.
off methane
Right.
produced from the waste of creating bananas. They just throw it into these bags that both heats a barn and produces methane to run the motor that powers the whole thing. That's where they get their power.
Think about the old technology that they basically stopped for us from knowing about and seeing. My dad was reminding me like years ago when he went out to, I don't know if it was San Francisco, but the house was completely sufficient on methane gas. And they had it set up where it was actually connected to the bathrooms and it did all the lighting and all the stuff. Like there is technology. It's just a matter of like getting the people who have access to it and the knowledge about it. And also like I look at it from the bigger picture of everybody who is a part of these systems that they, basically you're doing the work, but you're part of the system. You're in the Hydra, dependent on a paycheck, but forgetting that without you, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't operate. And therefore, the electricians, the plumbers, the guys doing the freaking work out there are just as capable of walking away and saying, hey, we can do this.
Yeah, that's just it. I've heard about some like Caribbean island communities where they need engineers, they need electricians, they need plumbers, that kind of thing. We need to do something similar and then be able to share our skills. Or somebody travels that has a need and then set somebody up. Like that's why I keep talking about like a network. We need like a parallel alternate system that we
Yep.
can grow that nobody will notice until it's big enough that it matters.
100%.
Absolutely. Because if we have our own, and that's what I'm saying, we got to look at, okay, what do we need? How do we operate? then what can we put in place? There's enough great minds here where we can do it. All we got to do is sit and say, okay, this is what it is. We'll lay it all out on a table, process of elimination. We all agree on something because we all have the same vision. So there can't be any arguments. So it's like, okay, well, we can, and whatever fact that somebody provides that's actually, the best one, we're going to go with that. I don't care if what I present isn't good. If you guys are like, well, the 12-month plan ain't going to work, okay, fine. But let's break it down. And what is the timeline? Do we have timelines? Do we have goals? Are we really serious? Who's really serious?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who's really serious to do it? And if
Well,
we're
you
serious to
always
do it,
need an
we'll take in
aggressive
these Zooms
timeline to get people to
to
move too. Like
right.
even if a 9 month, 12-month plan turns into a 25-month plan, it is what it is. You're
Hmm.
moving towards it. Yeah. It's
Right.
like, momentum. Once you get it and have it, then it's hard to stop, but it's hard to get going from zero just the same.
Right.
Right. So it's
The-
really good when you get these people that are skilled. Like Jim just said, hey, I'm an electrician, by the way. By the way, if you're in Florida, I could use one right now. But the thing is we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're just trying to find the people with the resources and the skills and knowledge, right? Like that's where we're at. We're smarter, right? When you're smarter, you do things less harder, is how I like to say it. You know what I mean? Like we need to be thinking in a reverse engineering
Well, and
aspect.
we can leverage technology too, like a video live. Some an electrician can say, "Okay, this is what you need to do." Most of it's not complex. Once you get to here,
Mhm.
now make sure you got somebody supervising on camera that can guide you through this because this is dangerous or this is very important.
Mhm.
And that's what you need. You need the expert level here and there. So if we can share our expertise in a network,
Right.
because we've got to create an alternate parallel system, and we've got finance. That's the blockchain and whatever Bitcoin and the associated things there. So there's that is a huge part of it.
Right.
But then, okay, let's do food. Let's do medical, or let's do health first off. So we don't really need medical, but there are emergencies that pop up. So we're going to need doctors. We're going to need engineers. We're going to need electricians, plumbers, all that. We need everybody to come together and be willing to share to build something that's way bigger than any one or any one
Right.
group. Yeah.
And then I think we need to lay the foundation too that, since we are doing the opposite of them, it is truly an all for one, one for all type thing. Like we cannot, that is the vision. It's like our motivation. Just like they have purpose and motivation just to take over the fucking world, we have our own purpose and motivation to make sure that we run as a unit, as basically almost one mind, just helping each other out to advance, right? So where would we start? Would we start with introducing skills, or do we start with what we need in order to, and we'll pie in the sky it, right? And say, okay, what do we need in order to make all this happen?
Well, yeah,
Okay,
and
so
individually we need to be like selfish, but as a group we need to be generous, right? Because we
right.
need our
Yes.
water is good. Our power, my power. I care most about my power. Sorry, everybody, but like I need that. So locally we'll have to be a little bit selfish, but if we set up the trusts and we set up the proper entities that can be donated to and even get a tax deduction, we float by with religious exemptions, because what I've been studying there, that is, we are
Yep.
supposed to have religious freedom, and you are
Mm-hmm.
the minister of your house. You've been saying a lot of good stuff on this live about these
Mm-hmm.
trusts. I'm very interested in the trusts and the structures, because now you're operating outside of the system that you just got slid into.
That's right. And it's all based in natural law. That's Cruden versus Neal. Man, species, not the gender, is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. Even in the Declaration of Independence, it says that they hold a separate and equal station, assuming the powers of the earth under nature's God and the law of nature. They didn't say anything about a constitution. It wasn't written yet. They didn't say anything about a policy, a statute, or anything. They didn't say anything else. They didn't say anything about King George's rules and regulations and policies. They said, assuming the powers of the earth under nature's God and the law of nature, right? So now that becomes ministerial. That's when I was breaking down administer ministerial. This is what we're here to do. This is the purpose and function. That's why everything is crazy. It's not, it doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. Who are the ones that's going to rise to the top? Who are the ones that's going to go through the darkness and become the light? And then that's where you get your religion. Because, like I said, I don't give a damn if you worship the god of Legos, as long as it makes you a great man or woman, and you're there to uplift fallen humanity or whatever, and do it as a cohesiveness. Then yeah, let's get it right. Because that's why I said the private trust is a little bit more like a church. It's more like it's a ministerial trust, because when you have that, first of all, you're only receiving donations like we spoke about, and that you can't be taxed on that. Gifts can be taxed, but donations cannot be, right? So now, but what I learned about gifts is something else. It's like gifts is future receiving instead of immediate receiving. The future receivings are taxed. So that's a whole other thing that we'll go into later. But we're using that ministerial, right? Just like the Amish have their own thing, just like fucking Mormons, like they got their own thing going on, right? So like going back to that and then working together. Yes, we got to be a little bit selfish, because yeah, I want my electricity to work and I want my water to work. But then once my water works, and if my water and my electricity depends on you having it too, then damn it, we got to work together to make sure we have our electricity and water working, right? So then it's like, okay, the whole group. Now, when I'm good, you're not good. Okay, I'm good over here. So if you're not good, let me help you get good, right? Because if you're happy, I'm happy. Now we're all can move forward, right? So we got to start. Where do we start? Is it working with the trust? Maybe we start on many different things at once. Maybe it's working with the trust in the PMAs. Maybe it's making sure that we identify, just like Romy's up in here. Romy is fucking a great contractor. That guy can, he's great building. We got electricians in here, like Jim said. We got a lot of different people. Okay, now we need to do a logistical analysis. We need to make sure we break down the different parts to see how it all comes together, right? And then who can lead? Maybe Romy can lead over here. Jim can lead over here. Somebody can lead in agriculture. I can lead in trust and do the PMAs. This and that and the third, right? Cool. Start there. But then I personally think, and I think you guys
Yep.
will agree, we're going to need land. We're going to need
Okay.
our own land. What's up? So, yeah, we're going to need our own land.
Well, and the
Because
land needs to be held in an appropriate way that limits liability and all that, and that is the trust, right? Like we need to be
absolutely.
able to put that in the appropriate, because we're dealing with a corporate entity. We got the District
Mm-hmm.
of Columbia. That's not the United States of America, right? That's a
No.
corporation. So
Mm-hmm.
they've created us all into some corporate type entity, from what I can
Mm-hmm.
tell.
They're
So we
working.
got to
And
play their game
mhm.
enough that we can opt out of their game.
Exactly. That's what the 12-month plan is about. It's like we're not just gonna cold turkey leave. We ain't got nothing right now. We need to build that up. We need to compromise. I don't like the word sacrifice, but we need to compromise certain comforts so that we can have what we need when we do leave and opt out. That's all I'm saying. Right? So the land has to be in trust. Right? We'll do meets and bounds on the title instead of lot and block, right? Because that's the original thing, right? We're doing ministerial, right? To create your own nation, there's a few different parts. Obviously, you need the people, you need land, right? You need to have your own customs and heritage. That's another thing, right? And you need your militia or military. All we got to do is all be armed, and we're gonna have to get on that too, right? And the trust can help you with that. And then recognition. I'm pretty sure we can get recognized by somebody who really hates the United States. Like, let's be real, right? We know people overseas. We know how we can. There's got to be something, but even without the recognition, we'll still have the land. We'll still have it in trust, right? And we'll still be able to, and especially when you're outside, I don't know if many of you know, but the sheriffs and even the police, but mainly the sheriffs, because they're only the lawful ones, right? They only have about a 25-mile radius from any post office or courthouse. So where I'm at, I'm about 36, 40 miles away from any of it. Like they don't like they saw me building bigger than what they said I'm supposed to. And the sheriff came through and was like, damn, this looks really good. He didn't give a damn. And they don't even go up there. Those are the kind of locations I'm talking about, because now you are outside of their reach, right? We got to think about that, but we also have to think about resources. Do we have enough trees to mill the wood? Do we have any springs nearby? What is the soil like? Right? Does it snow? Does it not snow? See, a lot of people want to be in the warmer temperatures, but when you go south, there's less trees. Now you got it. Now you're under the 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 fluctuation of lumber at Home Depot. And then what if they stop shipping? Right? We got to think about these things. You know what I mean? And being up in the mountains and things like that, I think it's great. You get a higher elevation of air. Like I was been off grid for like going in my ninth year. Haven't gotten sick once in those, let's say, 8 years going into the ninth. There's a lot of benefits to that. So we're gonna have to definitely get the land. We're definitely gonna have to figure out, what people know, right? I shared the here. I'll even share it again. Um, I shared the survival library with everybody, if you remember, right? And that's for people. And I'll share the screen and show you where it's at. Hold on. I thought we were trying to build our own declaration. Yes, yes, but here's the thing, Romy. Remember we had talked about it. I was like, for One Nation, it's like I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes because I know that Jason was, I think, was been working on that, and I would like to present it to him to see if hey, let's we can get it going and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, we got to build it if we're going to do it, and I don't think that he'll have a problem with it. It's just, and it's actually good that we're all coming together saying that we want to do something together. So I don't think that that is going to. I don't think it'll be a big deal. We just want to make sure that and it's us too. And if we feel like we need to do it, then we got to do it, and it is what it is. But we obviously got together because of him and Shauna, creating an app and all that. So we want to make sure that we're all under full disclosure, right? And we're all in cahoots. We can't, you know what I mean? We got to work as one. Yeah, forest protects from frequency and other elements. You're absolutely right. Let's see if there's any other comments that's in here. The
Can I
skill
chime
board.
in real quick, Chris?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I don't know if the One Nation app members know about the website, but onenationrepublic.com, that's
Okay.
where he's got, all those types of documentations and everything.
One Nation Republic. Everyone write it down.
Is this part of
Republic.com.
the Mighty app? That's like
No,
no.
this is separate. This is just the website. The Mighty Network, it just hosts the app for the One Nation.
Okay, well, it's onenationrepublic.com. I'm just going to type it in and put it in the
Yep.
chat.
Uh-huh.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, see, and so let's start there because again, we all want to be together. He started this. We got to make sure that if he's got some tools we can add on to, we can all come together for it because just like Romy said, we should start creating that. But I think there's many different areas we can start on at once. One doesn't have to be done before the other starts. We got to figure out who has skills, right? What skills do you have, right? How can we utilize these skills? Then it's like that, since I'm teaching trust, yeah, I'll be like, well, let's start this PMA. Then I can probably start, once we get everything in cahoots with everybody, then we can start building on that. Okay, first part, we need to get this done. And then every session we get it done. We have March and then April. I'm only saying April because of the New Year thing, and I'm thinking 12, but like you said, it could be 12 months, it could be 24 months, it could be 25 months, whatever. We can do 12 months, and then maybe certain people get to land, and then others are still, doing what they got to do, and they're not ready yet. Okay, cool, but at least we have it. That's what at least we got the land. Maybe it's 100 acres. Maybe it's 200 acres. I don't know. Because we're going to need houses and we don't want to be right next to each other like apartment buildings, right? And we want to have like a town center where we can have our erudition academies rather than education, right? We already covered that, right? We have our, if anybody wants to practice whatever their faith is, you can do practice whatever your faith is, right? That's totally fine. We've got to have allocate for agriculture, and we're going to need, I mean, depending on the size of the people, at least 10 acres, 5 to 10, because then we got to learn canning, right? We got to learn a lot of that stuff. Now, let me show you the Survivor Library. I'm going to share this screen real quick. All right. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see it? Anybody,
Yep,
please
I
say
see
something.
it. One-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank
see you
you.
typing.
Thank you. I just want to make sure because, yeah, sometimes I don't know.
Yep.
All right,
See
here we
that.
go. Survivor Library, right? This one right here, the first one. Okay, I'm going to click that. I've had this for many years, and I didn't know who to share it with, and there's only a few people I shared it with. But let's go to download books. I don't know if I need to turn it to the side or not. If it's better for you guys, there we go. Oh, that's bigger. So excuse me if you got to turn your phone to the side or whatever. But
Yeah,
look at
actually, it
this.
was better the other way. I thought. I don't.
It
But
was
we're
better.
saying it didn't play it out
Let me
great.
know. That's
I'm on
fine.
my
Let me.
phone, so
Yeah,
it's
but
playing same.
yeah. So it's
This
all
thing's
good.
Better this
loading.
way.
All right, cool. So we'll keep it this way. I just want to make sure it's good for you guys. So check it out. So you got everything. Look, we got shelter, we got sewing, we've got let's just go two at a time. Let's do that, right? Accounting, airplanes, electrical, electrical engineering, general, hydraulics, right? Astronomy, architecture, right? Farming corn, farming fish, potato, firearms book. Uh-oh, I clicked fishing. So fine, let's go to fishing. And you look at all these books, all right? So what you do is, and these are from mid 1800s to early 1900s. Ooh, there's a 1753. Let's look at that one. All right, you go over here, you click PDF. There's your book. I mean, well, there's 2 pages, but it should be more pages. But I don't know what that means. But we can go back. Let's click something else. Right, 300 ways to cook and serve fish, just to show you how you use it. That's it. Click the PDF. All right, wait for it to load. And here's the thing I had mentioned before, look, it's 122 pages. 122 pages. This is the older books, the actual book. All right, where's the date? But I would suggest, I don't know if we can do it. I mean, it'll be a feat. Somebody's gonna have to do it. But we're gonna have to download these to like either an external drive or print them out. Some of these books that we really want to have because they're all in there, right? I mean, it's so. Let's go back. Okay, beekeeping, that'd be great. Berries, food, fishing, right? Boilermaker, forestry, bookbinding, forging, and casting, right? I don't know whether you got Boy Scout manuals. Maybe it might work. Um, right? Geography, glass making, bridges and dams. Butchering, great books. Canning, gunpowder, cheese and butter. Let's go to. I want to go to canning because this is something we got to do. Right, because really in the wintertime and stuff like that, you're going to want to can, dehydrate, things like that. We need to eat, we need water, and we need to be able to look at all these books. Okay, a treaty on food conservation. I like to go to like some old stuff. Let's go to that. Is that 1887? What is that? Canning and preserving, 1887. Let's scroll over. Bow. And you can do whatever you want. Obviously, it's just my prayer. I'm just showing you guys how to work it. But this is
Oh,
something that
that's
we can
cool. You're
utilize for
showing us how to
those,
use it. I like that.
right? Just so that, because now it's like, all right, cool. You can see that all you got to do is scroll over, hit the PDF button, you got the book. Now we
That's
need to
kind of
either print it out or
information
download it.
overload. Sorry for talking over you there, but that is
No, you're
information
good. Go
overload
ahead.
if you don't have a little explainer.
Right. And it's just like, oh, and that's how I was. Right. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Because it's like, there's a lot of different tabs. We only went on the left side, there's 2 more rows. That's all. That was only 2 rows, so you can see what it is. There's so much. It's a fucking it's a library, right? Of these great books, and the way they wrote them is just fucking beautiful. It's like a symphony, and just the word selection and the sentence structure is amazing, right? But I'm a word nerd, so excuse me. I'll put away my pocket protector. But the thing is that there's so much in there so that people can read up, right? Look at this, 1893. These are the actual books. Let's go down. All right, there you go. Okay. Now, I like the table of contents. So you got canning, preserving, marmalades, jams, butters, fruits, jellies, dried fruits, syrups, pickling, catsups, flavored vinegars, powdered and dried herbs, index, right? So then you got, was it 92 pages of that,
It was great in
right?
the age of adulteration. What are we, 1870 something?
Right.
Yes. Did it say that?
Yeah, right up at the
Yes.
top, right
Yes.
at the first thing. It's like in this age of, I think you got to go down just slightly, and it says
For
Oh,
those
there
of
we
us
go.
who are old enough,
adulteration. You see that in the
Uh,
preface?
That's what I was trying to say. The words
They're
they choose,
complaining they don't
dude.
do shit like the way they used to.
They do not. That's why I love it. In the age of adulteration, who uses that word?
I
Like,
remember using that word back in the day. I find it fascinating. So many of these words are just like, but they did that through the indoctrination education system where they dumbed
right.
everyone down. Like
Absolutely.
if you weren't somebody who grew up like I grew up with my mother always at the library, so my mom would be like, "Go look it up." She sent us the dictionaries. We grew up with encyclopedias. I tell you what, I'm very grateful for what I got exposed to.
But they were
Right.
noticing back then in this age, like that
Mm.
might have been a cultural, like kind of hip thing. Oh, we're in the age of adulteration.
Well, technically, I think that some of this stuff still carried over with all these resets that they've carried out and basically eliminated people who have the knowledge. There's
But I think
still
they've been subverting and adultering an awful lot. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Mm.
oh
Right.
yeah. It's called
Right.
inversion, inside outside world, upside down.
Right. So then, what else you see? So this is what I'm saying. Like, there's just so much. I mean, I read I started reading a book. I think it was on architecture or something like that. But the way they were writing it, I was like, man, this is like. It felt good to read. It's just wow,
That's it
concrete.
right there. It's the frequency and the vibration of the words too.
Right.
Because
Right.
it
So.
because when you still had the Renaissance and the beauty and the period which astrologically we're coming back into, when you look back at the pride people took into the workmanship and the things that people created, and then the languaging that also enhanced and like brought the
Mm-hmm.
poetry of it, right? So now we're in a world of legalese because it's not American
Mm-hmm.
English. And
Right.
now you're in a totally different vibration, just like what they're doing with the technology overlaying a frequency to disrupt the original flower of life patterning. It's all of that. Like, yeah, I mean, words cast
Check this
spells.
out. Check
Yeah.
this out. We're gonna go back to that, but check this out. You go here. All right. Check this out. Just everyone knows, but I just want to show you. Nice, foolish, ignorant, frivolous, senseless. From Old French knees, careless, clumsy, weak, poor, needy, simple, stupid, silly, foolish. I'm like, damn, y'all got more? Ignorant, unaware, literally not knowing,
Wow,
right?
and they told us to be a nice guy.
Come on. That's
Good
why nice
advice,
guys
huh?
finish last. That's why they finish last. Because they're stupid, silly, foolish, needy, poor. All right. The sense development has been extraordinary, even for an adjective. From foolish to timid, faint hearted, pre 1300, to fussy, fastidious, late 14th century, to dainty, delicate, circa 1400, to precise, careful, 1500s, preserved in such terms as nice distinction and nice and early, to agreeable, delightful, 1769, to kind, thoughtful, 1830. This is what I'm talking about. When we talk about words, the original intent of the vibratory frequency of that particular structure of letters and words, right, meant this. But they got us to go here, right? Down here, agreeable, delightful, it's kind, thoughtful. So they changed words, even like,
Babylonian black magic witch doctors.
right,
Yeah.
infatuation. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
we got a whole
infatuated.
bunch of Babylonian black magic going on, whether it's money magic or
Right.
spelling words. It's
That,
so weird that
exactly.
the words are so native to us because we just like picked it up so easily or whatever. But that
Oh, the
is,
power of suggestion and influence. Yep.
Like, look at this. Make a fool of. When you're infatuated, you're making a fool of yourself. Frustrate. Turn something to foolishness. Frustrate by making foolish. I'm infatuated with her. You're dumb. You're foolish.
It's
Nothing
also
because of
taken under
her.
its shell. It's also
Right,
considered being under a spell.
right. So that's when I speak about the words and stuff, I'm like, yo, this is wild, right? That's why I'm a word nerd. I loved it when I started figuring out. I was like, I just love the words. That's why I love these dictionaries. I'm such a damn nerd when it comes to words. And then sometimes it makes people mad because we're like, well, and then they're like, here we go, and I'm like, well, damn, we're just gonna keep getting D into B. But it's like we got to figure it out. Look at this embalming, right? That's another thing we got to work out. Well, what are we gonna do when people pass? How we're gonna have new babies? How we're gonna we got to think about this stuff, right? Embalming. I was like, oh, damn, this is how it started last time. Romy remembers when we were like talking about it, and that's what got us on the whole thing. And we started trying to do a whole decoration. And then but look at that practical guide for embalmers. There's only a few, but that's all we need. I guess maybe it's pretty self explanatory, right? So let's go to the second side rat control, railroads, radio. See what the fuck is up? Radio. Okay, we got a few things. Practical radio, including the testing of radio receiving sets, practical wireless telegraphy, a complete textbook for students of radio. You might look at that one. Radio broadcasts, radio engineering principles, right? All right. So maybe there might be a way, right? So there's only those two. Okay. World depression. I don't even want to click that. We're already there. Printing, primers, wood furniture, wood carving. See, a lot of these things we can use too, just like we were speaking about earlier about creating some industry. You know what I mean? It's like people would love beautiful, unique wood. And I didn't know juniper. Juniper, there's tons of juniper in Oregon, and that wood is expensive. I didn't know that. And it's like you can create a beautiful table, and make, obviously we don't want to rape nobody. We sell it for a good price, but it's like there are ways, right? Wood carpentry, wind and water, right? Paper making. We can make our own paper. We need to be able to make our own clothing too. So I don't know if there's something in here called hemp. If y'all seen that, I'm not sure, but turpentine and
I see
solvents.
the opium there. You just passed
Look
by.
at you. Look at you. Ah, look at, okay, we'll go to it. He said, I see that. Let's dabble a little bit over there.
Well, we're gonna need our own meds,
There we
right?
go.
We'll be arthritic from all that laboring in the field.
I can't argue with you. There is no
You
argument.
know,
You're
growing up, there
absolutely
were two little old
right.
ladies that had a little private network that in high school a buddy of mine tapped into, and they made teas and tinctures for the old folks.
Ooh,
Yep, and guess what they grew in their garden?
opium,
Poppy. Yeah.
poppy. Yeah, poppy. Yeah, that's what it is. Right. Oh my God, we need to get some poppy seeds, y'all. Report on the experimental culture of the opium poppy, 1874. Right? Drugs that enslave opium, morphine, chloral, and hashish habits. Uh-oh. Right?
We're in some
Formulary,
grimy shit here, but I like it.
right? The American New Dispensary, 1821. Yo. The old vegetable neurotics, hemlock, opium, belladonna. You're gonna have to look at that real quick. That just seems wild. And this is what I'm saying, y'all. I think that another thing we need to do is because of I'm not trying to be in fear of. It's a concern that they will shut down the electricity, the internet, and things like that. And I think that we would want to have these either on something where we can bring it up ourselves or print it out or something. There's too much gold to be lost. And I try to print. I try to save as much as I can. You can save it. You can save these books,
Yeah, your
right?
idea
But
of
what?
saving this all to an external drive is brilliant because we should be able to make our own power and recycled laptops or whatever. We should be able to access this, barring, I mean, even with, we should be able to retrieve this if society collapsed or whatever. But then you've got just a huge
Right.
vault. You got libraries, and that's one of the things that um, was one of the things the Book of Johnson's talking about. I don't know if any of you guys see what he's talking about, but it's like the church is the building. You
Mm-hmm.
have a thrift store so
Mm-hmm.
that people can donate clothes and items and whatever, and then you have a place to sell it, and you peel anything you want off for your church, which is where you're gonna live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a farm, so you're gonna have a pantry and you can do food pantry or whatever, or make a kitchen, or I mean, all sorts of things you can do, right? Like Amish do this. They have honey,
Right.
and they have like little roadside stands and things. They just operate in the private.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. Yes.
Yep. No, I'm with you, brother. Fully
That's
100% with you. Yeah.
That's private dealings, and it's like, yo, we're just donating, we're just doing this, and plus, you know, it's wages. What are you going to? You can't tax me on this. This is not income. Income is profits over investments. Wages is your work. We literally work the land for the bees to get the honey. We work to get the canning for the vegetables. We work to build these tables and chairs. We work to do whatever it was. We're working to do it. That's ours, right? We don't need to pay them out for anything that we're doing on a private level as well, because it all is donations because it's under a ministry. We can't earn anything or accept anything other than donations. It's all donations, whether written or verbal, explicit or implied. So we covered all of it, or otherwise, right?
You never want to earn anything anyway, because that puts you in an earn.
Right. That's death. Right. And that's all I'm saying. It's like we can't earn anything when we're doing it ministerially and private. That's why it's a private foreign ministerial natural law trust. I don't know what this is. Is this a person or a fucking mountain? What the hell is that?
His head is sideways and he's kind of got a thing. He's got a cape over his head. He's looking
Uh,
over his left shoulder.
yeah. Okay. There you go. So this was the vegetable neurotics and old vegetable, well, the vegetable neurotics. Okay, here we go. All right. Um, what is this? Physiological action and therapeutical use alone, and in its combination being the Glastonian lectures of 1868. Let's see what they got to say. What's in the? I like the table of contents first. That's just me. They just went into the chapter. Okay. I talk about hemlock. Isn't I think hemlock is a really not a good. All right. Well, then yeah, they just broke it. 424 pages.
You could run it through ChatGPT and tell it to kind of like give you a generalization of
There we
what
go.
Yeah,
what it's.
there you go. TLDR with GPT, or I like Grok personally because I am not a fan of Bill Gates or Sam Altman, so I do not
Right.
use GPT except to check what the establishment wants me to think.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it's like, so for something like this, it's like, like opium. Yeah. I mean, there's many different. Look at the medicinal uses down here, right? Okay, medicinal use of opium and belladonna. So there's chapters in here. It's 424 pages. Like we're gonna learn something. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. And it looks like all these different chapters are pretty damn big. Yeah, all of that is pretty big. So again, make sure you guys utilize this. Uses of opium in managing the shock and reaction of severe surgical injuries. Shut
Hmm.
the fuck up. Yo. How many pages? All right, it's only 32. Let's go. Let's go table of contents. All right. Come on, man. Really? I just try to expand it. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's quietly expand it and
Curious, are
bringing
you on a
full.
Starlink internet or how do you do your internet out
No,
there?
my internet is from Nomad internet. It's
Hmm.
cheaper now, but I'm doing $100 a month, and I can go anywhere with this. And I use this for being off grid, and it's actually pretty powerful for especially. I've just got a laptop, a couple phones, and things like that. But and then the card printer. But other than that, it's like it does pretty well. And it lasts, a pretty good amount of time as far as on its own battery. But I think somebody else, I think you put the thing in there as far as something else, as far as internet maybe, but
No,
um,
Meshtastic is communication. which
Okay.
I suggest, for $50, peace of mind. Anybody that's kind of hip, there is something you can do with your phone too. That's a branch off of this, but that will go miles and miles. And then there's relay repeaters. So that's how it works. It's like it makes a mesh, right? So it'll send messages all out, and then it finds a route. But people have, like ham radio guys and stuff, put a repeater um, on the antenna. So they're just like helping the network kind of thing. But this is the
Hmm.
parallel alternate network. By rights, we
Yeah.
should have an internet that's wireless, that's not connected to
Hmm.
our, government agencies and whatnot, that we can
Just
freely
like the
interact
electric
on.
was, just like our original electric was never wires. We're not getting electric on wires. That's a bunch of bullshit.
That's true. Very true. It is a bunch of bullshit. We can do all this stuff wirelessly. That's what all the cathedrals were. Cathodes, cathedrals.
Royal Rife, his nephew was saying that the the FCC, whatever frequency it is that the free energy is on, they'll show up at your door because they own it, or so they claim to.
Well,
Mm.
I am a FCC engineer, and absolutely, radio waves have a magnetic power wave as well as they have like a frequency wave. So,
Mm.
like Tesla, totally, I think would have had us all transmitting. If you fly a drone in the air with a thin copper wire and put it into the ground with like a copper stake and some water around it to make sure you got a good contact, and then measure voltage. It's just free all day long. You got a voltage.
You
Yes.
need rock salt with that too. I don't mean to cut you off, but
Well, that'll
it's
help.
about,
Yeah.
yeah, create the connection in the earth. When you use the salt along with it's mineral salt, purified water, you're gonna need a magnet to connect two copper lines together. But
Hmm.
that can create the free flowing energy like that there. Now, you can do it in a couple of ways. If you do it in the earth itself, then you're gonna have to spread these over so much space. Like there's some way how you do it, and you gotta link one copper rod into the zinc end. But if you do it into like say get one of those 40-gallon blue plastic trash cans, you can
Hmm.
create a generator like that. It'll hold about 1,000 watts too.
Wow.
And that you feel plate. Oh yeah, let me get one now. All right, it'll hold about 1,000 watts. And I was looking at that for backup. Sure do.
You see what I mean?
As a
This is
backup.
what I'm
Plan.
Look
talking
at this
about.
wealth of information. I love it.
I love it. And this is what these lives are for. Like, and that's what I'm saying. We can teach trust law, but we can write the trust. Believe me, we can get it done. But how are we going to do it? We need information like this. We need to talk about it. Where do we start? What do we do? Now, let's say if we're going to do that, right? We can do 1,000 watts and a garbage can or something like that, right? Or a tub or something like that, right? All right. Well, in order to get 10,000 watts. We're going to get X amount of those. We need X amount of water. We need these kind of, we need to start itemizing the things that we need in order to get the outcome we want as far as electricity, as far as whatever, because then that could power a lot of things. Maybe it could power the wood mill. Maybe it could power transportation, right? Maybe it could power a lot of things. Like it could help us with the agriculture, right? So, like, where do we start? I think we already started, but
Yeah.
what's
If I can ask, where are people on the trust journey here? Like, you're
people are
you're
new?
obviously way more advanced than most of us here, but anybody have a trust draft or like? Because I don't have nothing quite yet.
I have drafts. I have public and private trusts. We can create, but see, here's the thing: we would want to create it with ourselves because it will be because what I have is like it is personal, right? It's like for the family. It's and all that. We would want to create. Well, first we want to have everyone to have their trust. Each family would have their trust.
Right.
That's how now you can protect your own. You feel secure that that yours is what it is. Then for let's say the region or community, right? So let's say we got 20 to 30 to 40 different families with their own trust, and then they bring that trust to a PMA or to a higher trust, right? Because the private member association is still under trust law, right? So then we bring it together. Boom. Now we have a board of trustees within that community. Now for another community somewhere else, they'll do the same thing. Then another community will do the same thing. We get 4 to 5, 6, or even 3 or whatever, however many we can get at a time, and then we can include more. But then we bring all of those together, and that's where the nation starts.
Do those have to be designed? Because if it's an irrevocable trust, how would you put that under a one nation idea?
You would stipulate it as an article,
Okay, okay.
right?
Yeah,
Because
this is what I'm kind of getting at. All right.
you
So
would
you've
stipulate.
got some drafts for us to at least start with, right?
Right. Well, first, like I was saying, like we just
Be more
what
like a
we
structure. You're looking for a structure of it, and maybe
right.
an example to go by, but you don't want to follow it by the letter, is what he's saying.
Well, yeah, and I understand that they would be like custom to each person or family or
Mhm.
whatever, but then also if there is no beneficiary, then it goes to the group, I guess, too, right?
It's we're
Make it
only
however you want it. You can
right.
make
Or that would be something that you could do that would help benefit the
You could
group
do.
is that
You could do. Yes,
because like
you're
you
only
said you
limited by
needed
your
two.
imagination and what you actually want to put in there. So, like you said, if you want to, you can make another trusted beneficiary. You can make the group or that particular PMA the beneficiary of your stuff if you don't have beneficiaries, right? And you're like, you know what? I think it'll be better if all my stuff will go to the group or the community, right? So then that will be within the family. It will go to the community, right? Then the community, when it creates its trust, the PMA or however you want to structure it, right? And we want to be involved into like the nation trust of all the other communities. All right, well, we already have the things that we need. Now that will be the differentiator, whereas the community trust, the PMA, right? It would be a different type of trust for the nation. It would be like how the nations are going to work together. You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
the res will stay within the community, right? But then we can also write in there that we can trade and barter property, on at our right at our discretion,
a private contract, which is the whole point of all that. Yeah.
right? So upon structuring that again, it's how do we want to write it? That's why I think the family trust, then the community trust. That's boom. Okay, you got that. That's one pillar, right? But then once we're including all the other ones, now that level from community to nation, it's almost like they're writing the Constitution or Declaration of Independence. You know what I mean? It's got to be its own thing because you had the Articles of Association 1774, Declaration of Independence 1776, Articles of Confederation 77. Then you had the Constitution in 89 ratified in 91, right? Cool. But they had to do it in stages. All right, cool. We do it in stages. Family, community, then the overall, nation would have to be how we are going to work together in these communities, right? And the opportunities and advantages and also disadvantages because there's things that we want to say we can't do. The disadvantage can't is not necessarily a bad thing. It's like, hey, I can't just like I can't get your driver's license. I can't earn money. I can't get your money because my hands are tied. We got to blame it on the trust. The trust said
Right.
can't do it. The
Hey,
nation
nigga.
said I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Y'all take care, man. Love you, Toyo. Hey,
Right.
man. You know,
So with
man, we
that
pop.
said, ooh, mushrooms. Let's keep going. Right. So with that said, I know I saw the mushrooms. I was like, let me just keep going.
Yeah,
They
well,
got
I'm moving
tobacco there
around
too.
getting together for y'all. I apologize about that. I
You
was
good, brother.
reading.
Life is life, and man, we're all people. We're all alive. But here's the thing too. So if we're gonna do it, I think there's different. Here's the thing. All right, let's do it like this. Logistical analysis. What would be the major parts first? We say, okay, trust. Okay, that's one. That's one part. Trust, family, community, nation. All right, that's one part. Next, land, or is it skills for people? Like, what do we need in order for this to operate? Right. Let's tackle the biggest things. Right, the biggest parts, and then we can break those parts down singularly, right?
Yeah, but
So
so we'd need to be setting this up with the idea that there are different tiers that it could enter, and that would be part of the beginning of the trust, right? Because once you make it irrevocable, then it can't be changed.
right, but here's the thing: we can always include new trustees.
Okay, so a trustee could be like the nation or the because these are all entities, right? Like a person, legally, it could like we get that confused a lot that a human is a person, but really,
No, No, yeah,
No.
exactly. We did the whole thing on person, and it said man and person are not exactly synonymous. That was
Right.
Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 1856. But no, so here's the thing. So once we make it and it's done, right? We can make a clause in there for like. Are you saying for like new people that join?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if I was to start writing a trust, I'd want to have this like multi-tier that, like, let's say that a beneficiary doesn't want it or isn't around or whatever, because you say you got to plan for the, plan for different results, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a solution to the thing. So if there's
Mm-hmm.
nobody to hand it off to, then it goes to the nation or it goes to the local or because it sounds like three tiers, right? Like you got your family, you got your local or whatever. And
Community,
then you've
whatever.
got,
Yeah.
yeah, if you follow like a city, state, country kind of definition, then there's even, I guess, a fourth, right? Which would the top one would be the nation, the
Mm-hmm.
new nation.
Mm-hmm. I think the best way to do it would be the trust for the nation will stipulate that it can include, upon qualification, however we want to write it, new trust to the nation, right? Because then, and that trust, we got to look at it and see what would be best. Should it be a revocable, irrevocable, and if so, who's the grantor? And if the grantors are the communities, right? Then the communities can do like, hey, there's a new community here, or there's a new person in here that want to be right. We all we have to do is write it in the trust, and I think for that tier level, that would be on the nation side, right? Because your family trust is based on your family. The community trust is just based on that community, right? And the families, right? And so if you want to include new families, you can put that in there, and those new families will be trustees to the community or the locale, right? The local, right? And then as far as the nation trust, right? It would have a clause or an article in there that basically says that it the nation can include upon the approval of the board of trustees, right? That a new community can be involved because the nation is only going to deal with communities. The communities deal with the families. That's it, and the family will deal with themselves. Does that make sense? Because I think if you structure it that way, because if you write it in the trust in an article, you just gotta explain it. You have to write it out, and you have to, especially at the national level, the nation level, right? The nation level, it has to be I's dotted, T's crossed on how these new communities will be able to get into the nation, right? And then the communities will be able to stipulate how new families can get into the community, right? To be a part of that nation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just nervous to put something in like final form until I got this like kind of figured out. But I'm
Hmm.
just beginning kind of my building a trust, journey. I'm getting to the first draft
Right.
phase. Yeah.
And you can have as many trusts as you want. Yeah. It's just that when we're talking about, let's say if you had a revocable and an irrevocable trust, right? Because what I teach is like your private is like, your private trust, ministerial, you don't have EINs, everything is natural, right? Then your revocable trust is your public one because then now the grantor can make changes and do whatever, right? Cool. Now, if you have both, right? Because really, we don't want to put anything that deals with them within our communities, within our family trusts, our communities, our nation, right? We don't want to commingle their bullshit, right? And bring that in, right? But we still want to be able, so maybe we can have two different types of trusts, right? One for business and one for natural. Because we're going to need to do some sort of business, right? And we can have as many trusts as we want. So
Well,
if
we
we
have to
had,
provide a legal framework within what we define, but then it also has to integrate somehow. You kind of brought an interesting
Mhm.
perplex, it's perplexing, right? Because like, how do you exit or keep your stuff private, but then enter it into their system so that you can be private or you have no liability? Like the idea of basically owning nothing and controlling everything. How do you
Right.
best achieve that?
Well, owning nothing, controlling everything is only through an irrevocable trust, right? So the way I teach it is this, right? And just get it at the basic. Let's go to the family level because then we can go to the tiers, community, and nation from there. So at a family level, right? When you have your own trust, you have your private, foreign, ministerial, natural law trust. Then you have your public business trust, right? To do all commercial transactions here. and I'll show you something too as I explain this, right? So, one second. 1604, right? Okay, so what you would do is your business trust, where you do all your commercial transactions, you do your business, it's policies, it's EIN, it's bank accounts, it's all that public stuff, right? Whatever we receive on the business side, let's say if we get about, and I always say this, but if you get about 10,000 notes, right? I'm not going to call them dollars because dollars are silver coins. 10,000 notes, right? You would then, from the public side, purchase a generator or land or gold and silver or car. Then you would donate it to your private foreign ministerial natural law trust. Now, that donation is not taxed. You're able to donate whatever. We can donate to the homeless right now. We can donate land and houses to a church, and it'll just be in the title of the name of the church, right? So we would use the public trust to receive the notes and the capital in order to then purchase the hard assets, right? So like the hard appreciated, whatever assets we want. Is it tools? Is it, trucks? Is it a wood mill? Okay. It will donate it to that private trust. So now that private trust holds title over that actual property. Now you've thrown it into private, which is secret. Now the public trust doesn't own it. So it's gone from their radar. So you're using them both in tandem, like left hand, right hand, night, day, right? So you're using them both. This one's going to go get and then purchase and then donate over here. And this one will house it and store it, and it will own it completely. So then we will really own nothing but control everything on the private side, the private irrevocable trust. But then the public trust has got to be revocable. I know that there's Charles Schwab and Fidelity that would open up bank accounts, but a lot of banks don't want to open up irrevocable trusts. I mean, there's some, and if we can find them, great. But it depends on you. Do you want the grantor to be able to, revoke and modify and change that trust so that it, continues to morph as business will morph? Or do you want to have your business set in stone? And that's just the way it is. Then it's got to be an intricate trust, right? But you're using that business trust. And because the private trust can't deal with anything here. Let me show you right here. 28 USC, right? 1604, immunity of a foreign state. Now, before we do that, let me go to what Anthony has showed us. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I get the right code. Okay, I got it. 8 U.S. code. That's 1481. 1481. Right? This talk about loss of this is when you want to get out of being a citizen or native or native born or naturalized citizen, right? But here, let's do it like this. I'll switch over here. Immunity of a foreign state from the jurisdiction, subject to existing international agreements to which the United States is a party at the time of enactment of this act. A foreign state shall be immune from the jurisdictions of the courts of the United States and of the states, except as provided in 1605. Notice states is capitalized there, but state is not capitalized there, right? So we all know that. Let's go over here, right? Foreign state definition. The term foreign state includes outlying possessions of a foreign state, but self-governing dominions or territories under mandate or trusteeship shall be regarded as a separate foreign state. There you go. But right now, except as otherwise provided in 1605. Let's go to 1605. General exceptions to the jurisdictional immunity of a foreign state. A foreign state shall not be immune from the jurisdiction of the courts of the United States or of the states in any case, one, in which the foreign state has waived its immunity, either explicitly or by implication. Implication is going to be below. Notwithstanding any withdrawals of the waiver, which the foreign state may purport to effect, except in accordance to the terms of the waiver. Right? So in terms of the waiver, when you waive it, But check this out. And two, in which the action is based on upon a commercial activity. What's a commercial activity? A commercial activity means either a regular course of commercial conduct or a regular course of commercial conduct or a particular commercial transaction or act. The commercial character of an activity shall be determined by reference to the nature of the course of conduct or particular transaction or act rather than by its reference to its purpose. Going back, in which the action is based upon a commercial activity carried on in the United States. In the United States, as we know, is the jurisdictional thing. Can be in a piece of paper, can be in the ground, or you're civilly mortis. That means you're dead in the eyes of the law, or you're just physically dead. You can't be in California or in the land, or you're in the land and you're dead. So what are we talking about? The Constitution of California or the land of California? Either way, it's a dead entity, right? So you can't be in the United States, you're without. Now, carried on in the United States by the foreign state. So, upon the action is based upon a commercial activity carried on in the United States by the foreign state or upon an act performed in the United States in connection with a commercial activity of the foreign state elsewhere or upon an act outside the territory of the United States, your private trust, in connection with a commercial activity, using their notes, doing anything public of the foreign state elsewhere within our own jurisdiction, and that act causes a direct effect in the United States taxation because of income or usury of their notes. You use the king's gold, you're under the king's jurisdiction. So that's why I said the private trust has nothing to do with anything public. Nothing, especially EINs and bank accounts and private commercial paper, which are Federal Reserve notes, right? And or any of the like crypto, this all that public stuff, right? Because it holds its own jurisdiction, which is endowed by our creator using let me just get to it because it didn't really get to me like that. No, I don't want to use you. I want to use you, house.gov. Right? When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people. Remember, I told you, one people, there's many different types of people. They weren't talking about us, they were talking about one people, them. They weren't talking about you or me. One people to dissolve the political bands. I'll do it like this. I just thought it would be better because it would be bigger. Political bands which have connected them with another. So there's only two parties, the colonies in England, everybody else, the Italians, Polish, Africans, Asians, people that's from here to this land, the Central Americans, they ain't talking about you. So that's we the people is them, the one people. But really, check this out. Signs with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station. I'm going to look that word up to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitles them. There you go. It's all we can do the same. If they can do it, we can do it. They're people like us. Now we're coming together as one nation, one people, assuming the powers of the earth, holding a separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitles us. Right? A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes to which impels them separate. Okay, that's just a declaration of to declare. That's the declare part. That's the Declaration of Independence part. But notice the first paragraph is always the powerful one. Just like when you do affidavits, you got to do your personam jurisdiction first, subject matter jurisdiction, territorial, then you end it with a conditional acceptance 30-day notice. This is what I'm saying. The first paragraph, all for it. All for it. They let you know what powers they had in order to even write this for it to be valid. We have the same power. All we have to do is just assume, we're already assumed the powers of the earth. We are the damn earth. We are the universe. We're all of it, and we're us, but then we're all a part of it. Out of many, one. E pluribus unum. So, boom. Now, boom. Right? Then they talk about commercial activity. But if you don't have a commercial activity or you don't waive it, you don't waive your immunity. explicitly or by implication. See, that's why I say we need to know these words, because then it could be implied when using this or using that. It's like that one game Labyrinth with the damn ball, and you got to do the sides and up and down and side to side. It's a fucking labyrinth in this bitch. I don't know if many of you know that game, but I remember it. But it's like, it's really important.
But so you're suggesting that if the trust had an EIN, you are implying that you waive, or they could be construed that you've waived your
Yes.
right. It's implied that you, because you're participating.
You-
Okay.
you're participating, number one, but above that, they are a public entity becoming a grantor of that EIN. We didn't create it. He who creates it owns it, right? That's natural law. So it's like, if we're getting furnished, now we're a beneficiary. Beneficiaries are normally children. So now we're children of them because we received the benefit. They're the grantor. Not only that, now your private trust, which private means secret, is now public because you got a number. And also, on top of all of it, when does God need a number to be? Did we need a number to be to actual for the cells, for the sperm to go into the egg and then do what
Okay.
God does,
So
right?
if you created a LLC and put that in a trust,
That would be in your public trust. LLCs are public.
okay. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So then so really what we would need to do in our private is thoroughly separate the two, so that, because I'm thinking if somebody wanted to donate, value to you,
Mm-hmm.
it could
Mm-hmm.
be done in a number of ways. One way is in these debt notes, right? We call them
Mm-hmm.
dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how would I cash a check in the trust, for example? Or
You
I
would
would
you would
then cash it myself and then
no, you'd
I
you'd
would
cash
donate it.
you cash your check in your public trust. That's why I said it's a duality, right? You're the
Right.
Trinity. You're the overseer. You're the God of these two. Trust, public, private, light, dark, man, woman, right? Dog, cat, up, down, left, right, right? So we're dealing with public and private, right? So that's why I always say we at least have both. That's the
I
that's the
got you.
basis.
Okay, so that's like the positive, negative, whatever. You're
Thank you.
one
Yes,
entity,
yes.
but you've
Better.
got the private and the public. So okay,
That's a
I
great
got you.
explanation. That was a great analogy. Thank you. Yes.
No, this is
Yes.
great. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. So all things public and transactional commercial activity, right, would be done through your public trust. You get a check for $10,000, you cash it in the public trust bank account,
Well,
right?
I'm thinking
Now
somebody wants to donate 10 grand to you because they
if
like
they
what
want to
you're doing.
donate, tell them this.
Yeah.
If you want to donate to me, actually buy me a truck with that donation, or buy me whatever you can get for that. We'll have things that we need and dollar amounts, and based on what they want to do, then they can buy it for me, then donate it. Don't give me the notes. I don't need those goddamn notes.
Okay,
Or
you and
put
I
it in
think
the
a little
name of the
differently on that, and maybe I'll come around to your way of thinking because I'll take anything anybody can give, and if they want to give me these debt notes, I will take them. Like I will,
right. Well,
you know.
then you can do like a private thing where they give it to you personally outside of the jurisdiction of the trust. And then you personally buy something and then you donate it to the trust, to your private trust. Right. But I would say you can float everything through the public trust if you wanted to. But if they say I want to donate to your private trust, well then again, notes are commercial. Let me show you something too. Let me show you something. Right, and y'all know where I'm going. And I'm glad that you're great wealth of knowledge. I like your energy, and I love your mind because, and I don't mind going through this. And please, people, challenge, bring up questions because he's bringing up great questions, really great questions. All right, 12 year C411. He gives you notes. Right, issuance to reserve banks, nature of obligation, redemption. Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purposes of making advancements to Federal Reserve banks through Federal Reserve agents and hereinafter set forth, and no other purpose are authorized. Right? They're not authorized for anything else. First of all, the Federal Reserve banks are the central banks, Central Bank of Chicago, da 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 da, right? The Federal Reserve agents, right? This is per the Federal Reserve Act, 1913. The Federal Reserve agents are Citibank, Wells Fargo, Chase, Those are Federal Reserve agents. Now, it does say that these said notes shall be obligations of the United States, that's 18 USC 8, and shall be receivable by all national and member banks and Federal Reserve banks for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States. And, well, in the city of Chicago, District of Columbia, or any Federal Reserve bank. Go to a bank with a $20 note and ask them for lawful money. They're going to look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah,
They
that
have
was
no
written
idea.
back when you could trade it for gold.
That's
They
what
took
law.
that away in
Yes,
71. Yeah.
yes. That's what exactly before 71 Nixon. Yeah, and yeah, right. So, what is money? Money is gold and silver coin and copper coin minted. That is it. A dollar is a silver coin. You can't have a dollar bill. It's an oxymoron. You have money and debt. A bill is debt, right? So when we're talking about money, right, we're not talking about notes. Did they mention where did they say money here? They didn't. They're talking about
You're
notes.
absolutely right. I love where you're going here because this is the money magic that the banks have done on us. Because when you make a deposit, you're giving the bank a loan. And when
Mm-hmm.
a loan, right, they use the terminology, but what are they doing? They're buying a contract from you. They're buying your debt.
That's right. Yeah, they're loaning it. And let me tell you,
Yeah,
this is
but
what
they
y'all
they
gonna have to.
flipped it, right? Because they don't they can transfer the money or credit it in your account. Well, actually, okay, see, it's working on me. I just fucked it all up. Pardon my French, people. But yeah, so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can
you're fine. We
credit
can do
your
that here.
account. They don't actually transfer anything. It is a ledger and a ledger. Your account is a ledger. They have a master ledger. But he who
You
controls
want
the ledger has all the power. Yeah.
right. You want this. Modern money mechanics. Look who wrote it.
Federal Reserve Bank. Yeah, yeah. And in the reserve, what were they reserving? Gold and
What
silver.
they what they do, right? First of all, they say how money is created. They say banks accept promissory notes in exchange for credits. That's how they make money. Like when you go through this right here, and it's written in layman's terms. It's not written in legalese. Everybody, you better go read this if you want to learn about money. This is what we're doing in the work in the trust workshop. We're breaking this down. Federal Reserve Act. We're just getting to the legal tender act. All of that here. They borrow money from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve borrow money from the government. The government gets money from the people, right? Okay. But then what they do is there's certain, let me go down to, if y'all could see this. Assets, US government securities, plus 10K. Liabilities, reserve accounts, Bank A, that's your Federal Reserve agents, right? And then it goes, you see up here, it says Federal Reserve Bank, then it goes to Bank A, that's your national banks. So then it goes to $10,000, right? But what they do is they fractionally reserve it, and there's $9,000 that's included on top of the 10. And they call
And
it
then
excess
actually, they took
reserves.
that requirement away just a couple of years ago with COVID. So now there's no fractional reserve required, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I think 2022, something like that. Yeah.
That's actually a
But
good
it used
thing.
to be, yeah, 90%. That's how like money got created, right? Because you give them
Right.
$10,000, they loan out 9,000 of that and reserve 1,000 to prevent a bank run.
So
Well,
so how are they creating money now? Is it through these notes and mortgages and you know what I mean? Well,
well,
just with
yeah,
the
basically, yeah.
right?
Because when you buy a house, right, what value gets transferred? The answer is like none, really.
Right.
So they just created the money
Well, what
when,
consideration are you getting? Yeah.
yeah, well, you're making a trade. That is the debt contract, your mortgage, right? That is your signing up to pay for
Mhm.
so many years at this interest or whatever, the usury. They're buying that in a trade for, and your one entity owns it, another entity owns it, and then you're in between. It's really quite to bring it back up, the Babylonian, black magic. It's Babylonian money magic. They're creating value from nothing, and
Right.
then we all accept it. Somehow we believe this shit.
Thank you. And look at this right here. What makes money valuable? In the United States, neither paper currency nor deposits have value as commodities. Intrinsically, a dollar bill is just a piece of paper. Deposits merely book entries. right? Coins do have some intrinsic value as metal, but generally far less than their face value. It's just a piece of paper. The Central Bank of Chicago said this. I was like, what am I reading? I thought I'd get some bullshit. That's what I'm saying. We need, like, what? And that's not even money, right? So it's like, do y'all read this, Modern Money Mechanics, please? This is what it looks like. All right, a workbook on bank reserves and deposit expansion. Just like he said, if they eliminated fractional reserve banking, that's actually a good thing. I mean, this is a really good thing, and I'm glad I didn't hear
Well,
about
wait,
that.
wait.
Thank you
It
for letting me
was
know.
they just reserved, or they removed the reserve portion of 10%. It's a 0% requirement. Yeah, they didn't like remove it in the way
Shut
that.
up.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Mind blowing.
What?
Yeah. Well,
They don't
it's
have
because
to
we
have reserves anymore?
correct. Yeah, the Federal Reserve window. There's something about that. I don't want to overspeak here. I've been studying this for well over a decade. I actually used to work. I
Uh
was a
huh.
special cashier at a bank. So, but they didn't teach me any of this stuff. I had to learn it on my own.
Right, right,
But yeah,
right.
it's the most
What?
confusing thing. Even Biden's head of, oh God, what was his thing? He's on a documentary. It's so classic because he starts describing it, and then he's like, "Wait, no," and he says, "I don't know how it works, really." I mean, like the top guy. Come on now, it's that bad.
The main guy's like, I don't know, bro.
I'll see if
I
I
don't
can
know.
find
Figure it
this.
out.
You'll trip, dude. It is the wildest thing. This guy on a documentary is getting
Wow.
grilled, and he just has a brain fart and just says like, "Well, I don't really know." But he's like the freaking Secretary of Commerce or some shit for Biden.
Get the
It's
fuck
insanity.
out of here. Yo, that shit is hilarious, man. That is some hilarious shit right there. Cause I'm like, dude, if you don't know, then what are we doing here? Just like when Trump was in his first presidency, that's when I was like, yeah, private commercial paper. And he came up and he's like, we're gonna install more commercial paper. I said, there it is. They didn't say money. He said fucking commercial paper. This is all it's fantasy land. It's like we never been paid in our lives. You can only get paid in gold, silver, commodity, or labor. And it's like they're not going to give you their labor. We don't have any commodities, right? And unless the ones that we create, which are children maybe, but right to them. And then gold and silver. It's like they took it away. And then, like you said, Nixon in 71, we're dealing with fucking fantasy land here. So let's take their fucking fantasy land as notes, go get something real like land and equipment and things and da 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 da, and get to the fucking land and go to nature. Even the Bible says, get out, leave her, meaning the city. Leave that city. It ain't nothing good for you. Who's winning? Let's be real. Who worked all their lives and then all of a sudden when you retire, you got millions? No one. It's a losing game. I'd rather work for myself and get dirty and be able to build for the next generation than to work for somebody else to make them rich and then I'm getting what $800 in Social Security, 1,000 if I'm lucky. Who's living off that? So I'm just saying it's like a choice. It's like we got to choose. Like, okay, you can stay in the city, do hey, you're your own man or woman. I ain't here to tell nobody what to do. I'm just here to try and engage in conversation and make people think like, okay, well, what's really going on? 3 years down the line, what's going to happen? Where are we going to be? 1 year, shit, but let's say three. Where's it going to be? How's it going to be? Look, you see what they're implementing. We don't even know what they're doing as far as laws. The money system's fucked. The supermarkets are fucked. They only got 3 days worth of food, so shit goes down. You remember with COVID, and you ain't gonna get no toilet paper. You know that. But other food you ain't gonna get, right? They're fucking with the air, right? Now it's like they've got, they can see through your TV, right? My dad was in Vietnam in the 60s. He said they were working on the technology. He saw it then. So it's like, what are we winning in these cities? And it's not about, oh, there's people there, because you don't even talk to them. You don't talk to all these people. It's like you roll around, you know the few people you know. And it's like, would you rather work for them and then be taxed out of your ass and work for free because you got bills and do all that? Or do we segue over to our own land? Do something different, right? Be the masters of our own universe, which is our mind. Like, where are we going? What are we doing? And then we got on this platform because we're seeking. There was something inside of each and every one of us where we're seeking. We're like, hey, there's something more to this. I was in the corporate world. I worked in the goddamn fashion industry for damn near 20 years. It sucked. I mean, it was great in the beginning, believe me. But after a while, I'm like, we're not curing cancer over here. We got all these egos for nothing. It's just clothes, man. I'm selling $500-$600 jeans. Like, come on, man. Let's be real. It's like, it's all a facade. All these cities were built in nature originally. So we know the police, they don't give a fuck. Sheriffs don't give a fuck. Highway patrol don't, right? The state troopers definitely don't. These are the armed guards on the street in the
Most of them are
Declaration of Independence and
Freemasons.
their grievances.
They're in
Huh?
a private secret fraternity.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they
Absolutely.
look out for their own, and we ain't
That's
in
it.
that club. Most of us probably ain't.
Nope. Most of Masons too. They're, like you said, it is private fraternity. That's what it is, and they're here to wreak havoc. They don't care about your safety. Actually, there's a Supreme Court case, and y'all know it, where they said that they're not there for you for the protection of the people. I mean, I don't know what more we can, you know what I mean? They're not there for the protection of the people. That's basically what they were saying. So
Yeah,
now
yeah,
here
you
we
got
are.
to listen to what they say because they will tell you what's really going on, and most of
Right.
it's not good, but they will tell you.
No, let me see if I can get, I need to get these comments real quick and see because I know people are, all right. So we did, yeah, onenationrepublic.com. Okay. Dwayne, if you have skill we work with while learning more, work to plan. Exactly. Yes, Dwayne. Yes, yes, yes. Because it's like if you have a skill, you can teach it. If you want to learn a skill, we got the Survivor Library and then others who may have that information or that knowledge and that skill and that trade that can teach you. Right? Megan, totally not full of bullshit, pure words. Yeah, right. Saltwater lamps. Yes, out there already. Saltwater lamps. Megan, there you go. Jim, you need a DC battery. Okay, because they're going back. I apologize for going back, but I just want to make sure everyone knows that they're being heard in the comments, right? As we stated in the beginning. You need a DC battery to hold, and also that's good, or solar panels, or the wind turbines. These there's all sorts of ways to harness it. Exactly. So we can get our energy. Again, we may have to set up the original infrastructure for these things, which may be a bitch. We're gonna have some successes and have some failures, but those failures are only lessons of what not to do, obviously. But we have to be able to endure and learn these lessons. And that's all I'm saying. Like I said, I've been off grid 8 years. You don't know the peace and the freedom. I built my own home. I milled my own wood. I felled my own trees. I pulled them out myself, rolled those big ass 15-foot log, fucking 12 to 13-inch diameter logs on that goddamn mill and milled my ass off and made my own home. It's a 20 by, it's a, what, it's a, no, it's a 12 by 24 with 16-foot ceilings. And then now I'm finishing up a whole nother 21 by 24 extension on top of that with a rounded front. So it'd be a little sunroom. We can build whatever the hell we want. We got a mill, but you got to have the wood. And if the wood is right there where my property is, wood everywhere. Please take the wood. This is too much. Just mill it and make fucking homes, right? Make sheds for food, make, places where the children can go, make a little circle city for the children. They can play, they can do whatever. We've got to have erudition academies because education is not what we want. It's training for animals and inducing and drawing out the mental powers of a child. That's education, 1874 Chambers Etymological Dictionary, right? Then you got erudition, which is knowledge gained from learning, especially through study. So one takes away, one is a gain, one's a negative, one's a positive. I'm going for erudition and I'm going for an academy. Sounds better. And so we can teach them and we don't even have to have a building. We can just do it outside. Shit. You know what I mean? It's just buildings just to store the books. We need a library. We need a canning area. We need a root cellar. You know what I mean? There's things that we can get. Vattel's Law of Nation. Ooh, mystery. JJ just came in. Let me turn on this light real quick. Battles Law of Oh, you know what? I actually got this one workshop. He's been there for forever, and it's like I'm gonna write this down. But it's I'll show you what it is. Law of Nations. I like that. I always write down. It is. Let's see. I don't know if I have it in my. I should have it in there. I should have it. It is like the law of nations type thing too, right? Um, I don't know if I have it up here, and I'd have to search for it. I think it'll take too much time, but yeah, I have a law of nations type of book too. I need to get that out. Okay, this is how they declared independence and established the USA. Yes, yeah. Oh, Battle's law of nation. That's how they declare. Okay, so I'm going to put DOI and USA establishment, and I'll look that up. Thank you so much, JJ. Mystery. Dwayne. Okay, let's start with skillmen, tradesmen, women, men, daughters, sons alike. Yes, because there's got to be different parts. We need food, right? Shelter, right? Energy. We got enough clothes. We can make clothes later, right? There's always the Goodwill. If you don't need it anymore, take it to the Goodwill store. So food, agriculture, right? Shelter. That's where we get our electricians, our, you know, electricians, the carpenters, all that floor covering and all that. I've done floor covering myself, right? So that's where we get that energy, right? Now we need to go into that's electrical still, right? Electricians, that's also just like we were speaking about before, the many different ways we can create energy and fuel and things like that. Right. So that's what I'm saying, a logistical analysis of the main things that we need in order to thrive and not just survive. Right. Now we figure out who goes into what. And I think that food, shelter, and energy is a good start as far as the main things that we're going to need. And then we funnel those with the knowledge and skill and trades to those particular ones. And then we do a logistical analysis and break down the parts as needed. And we have to do that as a group of what, it's like, all right, food. All right, who's doing agriculture? Who's doing the canning? Who's sun dry? Is there anything else? What do you call the what electroculture, right? Okay, who knows about that? What, we need copper and magnets and things. You know what I mean? So I think those are the three parts. Yes, it's a business trust. Yes, public, exactly. Thank you, Romy. FRNs come with terms and conditions. That's right. They do come with terms and conditions. These are contracts. Federal Reserve knows our contracts. That's what they put out. Is their fucking monopoly money? You playing Monopoly, or you playing their game or our game or God's game? Lack of a better word, God, the creator, the all that there is that doesn't have a name. Ultimately, putting yourself in danger. Yes, HR 192 and removing the gold. Absolutely. So that when mullen leaf, yep, for TP. Yeah, you can do mullen leaf for toilet paper. Yes, you can. It's soft too. Even though dudes may need something a little bit rougher, I might throw some sand on mine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Jim said he's jealous. Dwayne, yep. Please take my wood. Exactly. Yo, that's what I'm saying. Who's that? That's Dramatic Crypto. Yeah, I have so much wood, and then my neighbor, there's so much wood on his property that fell, and it's just wood everywhere. And I'm like, I'm about to build a few log cabins. I'm on 12 acres. So I'm like, it is a good space. I want it to be a little bigger, but all in due course. But it's still fucking pretty big. I want to get a blueprint drawn up for the best tiny home. Yes. Something we can build over and over. Yes, 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 yes. I like that, Jim. Absolutely. Fill the properties with tiny homes so people can come and stay. See, that's the thing. And I was thinking, you can do that, right? I was thinking, the whole 12-month plan, because I was like, well, if everybody leaves at the 12th month, we're going to need somewhere for everyone to stay so that then we can start building the homes. But, if there's like you said, if there's a blueprint of something that we can create, and then we got to see what kind of size are we talking about? We're talking about a 12 by 12? We're talking about is it a 18 by 24? We always want to be within four, so that we can stay within the 16-inch off center type thing for the beams and the boards and rafters and things like that. But just to make sure that the maths right. But we want to do like, is it a 24 by 24? Is it, what is it going to be so that we can build it? So then at least there's shelter for them. And then how are we running the electrical? Is it going to be by solar? Do we have like a solar area where everybody's connecting to it? Do people have their own solar? And then for a backup of solar, do we have either a big generator, or does everyone have a small, quiet generator type thing, right? So that's what I'm saying. The logistical analysis of that, we'd have to really kind of talk about. Um, uh, yeah, Lana had to leave. That's all good. I'm tiny community plans. Just need a little land to develop. Yeah, Yep, I believe Romy does have tiny community plans. That's without a doubt. Nations or states are body politics. We need a political body. Yes, yes. And that's the thing. When we come up with these certain words, we're always able to modify the words that we choose and the direction that we choose. We can work both in the private and in the public. Why? Because we can. They do. Do you know the United States have sovereign immunity, but then they don't have sovereign immunity when it comes to getting your debt? Now they're outside of the sovereignty, and then when they go in and collect a debt, just like what was it, the Clearfield Trust Company in the United States? It's like now they're just corporations, right? So they could be a corporation and they could be a sovereign entity at the same time. I was like, I can't be mad at it because I'm like, that's what I'm preaching, right? That's what I'm like, we could be both, but it's just different hats that we wear in that particular capacity. We are our own thrift store for clothing. Exactly, Dwayne. That's what I'm saying. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't need clothes. A church building with a library, yes. Pantry, food, yes. Thrift store, goods, yes. On land, farm, fuels, pantry. Boom, boom. Absolutely. All right. Mystery. When you read the laws of the nation, you will get one. Yeah, absolutely. I will. Yeah, I have this book too. It was in the workshop. Who gave it to me? Let me see if I can go to the workshop real quick. Let's see. I think it's here. It was. No, that's not it. Let me go. Let me go to the library real quick. Here in library, it is the treaties. No, that's the treaties of the law of income and taxation under federal statute. Now, where did we put it? Yeah, I gotta find it. He put it somewhere. I know he gave it to me. But it is the law of nation one, and so there you go. Anybody else? Yeah, we'll wrap it up. It's getting a little late. I just want to thank everybody. Yo, you've my brother, Bassomatic, very good. Jim, thank you so much. Dwayne, thank you so much. Cornelius up in this piece. Yes. Yeah, thank you for the convo, y'all. Everybody, Megan for being here. Thank you. Shauna was up in here. Of course, Tiffany is up in here and Romy, right? You guys can unmute and chat if you want. It's all good. You know, we were diving in. Oh, what I gotta do. Yusef. Oh, what up, Yusef? Hell yeah, brother. Good to see you.
How we doing
All
today?
right. Yes, that's right. Let me end this recording, everybody, and we can chat for a second. Thank you, everybody, for joining the One Nation Zoom with Sacri Corpus. I'm Chris Hollingsworth, your brother, your guide. You know, I'm there with you, right? And we had a great time. This was a great conversation. I'm glad we recorded it. I'm so glad we recorded it. It's amazing. So, I'm going to be doing probably next Wednesday. I got to see about Fridays because I'm here to be with my boy a little bit, but I still want to make time to make sure we have these conversations. And then in time, more people will join once they get on the program, right? And so, excuse me. And so we discussed a lot. So upon review, when they do upload it, just make sure you guys take your notes, figure out how you guys want to do it. What's the timeline? Like we got to do something. We're all here, like I said before, seeking the same thing: legacy, life. I don't want the pursuit of happiness. We need happiness. And it's not always going to be happy, right? It's not always going to be high fives and chest bumps and champagne and caviar. It's going to get dirty and it's going to rain. You know what I mean? And we're going to get wet and we're going to have to set that fire and then be able to dry off, right? So we're pioneers, all right? It's not being done. I know there's people that went off grid and did it, but we're really thinking about something bigger, right? This is like something much bigger that other people that are in the same mind and seeking the same thing can come and be included. So it's very important that we really start thinking about, hey, when we're ready to commit, we got to commit. It's like if we're going to talk, we got to be able to walk. And that's all I'm saying. Sometimes you got to get forced. We don't want to be forced because you know how life does. Life be life, and life is like, if you ain't going to do it, I'm going to do it. You ain't going to like it. So we might want to make our own decisions on this. You know what I mean? Before it's made for us. So, we want to be the grand tours of our choices. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. We're going to get back on next week as well. There's other great lives coming in this week. And, we're working it out on Zoom. Normally we have about 40 people up on there, but, again, it's something different and we need to allow people to get used to it. And I think we went till 7. You see what I'm saying? Like, well, West Coast time. But we have the leeway to do something longer, especially when the conversation is like this. Now it opens up for, just like what we had, people to unmute and really in real time share information, ask questions, right? So again, when you feel comfortable to ask a question, you can unmute or you can drop it in the comments section. It's totally fine, right? You won't be judged at all. We're going to go to it. And just like what I do is I always like to go through the comments anyway, because I want to make sure people are heard, right? If you write something in there and you want to be heard, write it in there. I'll get to it. We may be in conversation, but I'll get to it and we'll talk about it. You know what I mean? Because it's how we got to do it. So it's all good. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm just going to end the recording. If you guys want to unmute after that, that's totally fine. But we want to make sure they have their recording and we got the meat and potatoes. All right. Thank you again. Recording done.